still tied for the third best of all time.
Meanwhile, Bob Delaney will throw it up. Dallenberg and Perkins to go. Celtics, meanwhile, coming off a rare road win. They beat the Atlanta Hawks. And the man who was the point guard and Doc Rivers loves and starting to draw attention, Delonte West. You saw him there, number 13. Him and Iverson will match up.
Trying to go inside, exploit the weaknesses of the Sixers.
Pierce first shot won't go. Fight for the rebound. Knocked loose. Perkins with the save. LaFrance an open three. Second shot opportunities. We asked Mo Cheeks before the game. Number one key, he said rebounds. In the first meeting between these two, the Celtics, who won the game, badly out-rebounded the Sixers.
LaFrance, who has become strictly a perimeter player, he can be effective tonight because if you can bring Webber and Dallenberg, Iguodala away from the basket, as the Utah Jazz proved here just the other night, you'll get layups time after time. Maurice Cheeks just pulling his hair out at the defensive breakdown.
Nice feed inside. Iverson and Iguodala with the slam. Andre Iguodala, who of course is improving offensively, but what a task he has tonight guarding Paul Pierce. But that's pretty much every night for Iguodala, who has to guard the team's best player.
It goes from Vince Carter to Kobe Bryant. You name them, you line them all up. The great players, LeBron James. Iguodala has that challenge each and every outing.
And he picks up his first foul. Not easy for any player in the NBA to guard that type of talent night in and night out. But for a second-year player.
Zone defense here for Philadelphia, changing things up, trying to confuse the Celtics.
Pierce trying to get Korver up. Korver does a nice job going away. Perkins, another offensive rebound. Perkins turns and puts it in. Kendrick Perkins, the 21-year-old, just in his third year, one of the nice young players for the Celtics, who, like many of the team, they've been wildly inconsistent, but there's potential there, Bill.
Celtics have three of the high schoolers on their team. One of them just recently sent down to the D-League. Chris Webber can't finish inside. No one getting any defensive rebounds whatsoever.
Webber triple team, gets it out. Dallenberg struggles with it, lost it.
Turnovers, the bane of the Sixers.
And Davis knocked away by Korver. West, however, nice move from Delonte West.
Delonte West numbers, the field goal percentage. What a find for Danny Ainge to be able to bring the former St. Joe's star right back into the fold here for the Green.
First played for Phil Martelli, that team with Jameer Nelson that was number one in the country for so many years. So many weeks, I should say.
That's a
Korver. That's not a dynasty yet. As Korver knocks down that shot. Okay, three-pointer for Korver. That's 28 consecutive games he's hit a three. Longest active streak in the league. Pierce inside.
Pierce has not had a good look at a shot yet. Philadelphia's defense, obviously the practice yesterday that Jim Gray was referring to, certainly taking hold.
Iverson, as Bill talked at the top, is having some unbelievable numbers in terms of the early going. Puts that one in. And the Sixers have tied it. Pierce to Davis ahead, and Ricky Davis. Davis also averaging 20 points per game, the second leading scorer for the Celtics.
We have two of the top scoring duos in the entire NBA in this game. Iverson and Webber, number one. Beautiful up and under by Iverson. The way Iverson plays so hard, he has to earn your respect. You could dislike him because of his appearance, because of the way he talks, because of his off-court behavior sometimes, but on the basketball court, outstanding.
Davis knocks that one down. Ricky Davis able to put it in. The early shooting, and both teams shoot the ball well. In fact, both teams have done a nice job offensively. The Celtics right now are the number one shooting team in the NBA as Webber knocks down that shot. And that shows you in terms of where the defense is on both these teams.
Well, Chris Webber had 21 points in the tough loss against Utah. Utah playing as well as anyone right now in the NBA.
Pierce kicks it out. Ricky Davis, and Davis suddenly hot.
An offensive explosion here early on. We could only see this every night in the NBA from the opening tip. Guys just coming out ready to take it to the rim.
Celtics have hit 6 of their first 9 from the field. And Davis is 3 for 3. Webber inside. Oh, nice move from Webber.
Didn't Doc Rivers tell us today in our meeting that you want to make Chris Webber go to his left? Maybe we should have brought Rafe LaFrance along with us to that meeting.
I have a feeling he told his player that's what he wanted to do.
We can only hope.
Davis spinning. Pierce, that's the good look. The hand in his face and knocks down the three. Paul Pierce, who is shooting 50% from the field. And this is a guy at times struggled to make 40% earlier in his career. Iverson inside. Beautiful defense from West, but they call a foul. And Delonte West will pick up his first.
Chris Webber at the high post. Flashbacks to years gone by when Chris Webber could do this at will. Chris Webber, who appears to be tall only from the waist up, but Paul Pierce stepping to the perimeter. That's the first good look he's had, as Iguodala's defense has been superb early on. Nice pace to this game, Mike.
Iverson loves this type of pace, and you see just the last 3 years. Last year, averaging almost 31, and this year, right now, a career high, and his shooting percentage also is very good. That's what's been so impressive about Pierce and Iverson. Iverson shooting from the field right now, 46.
Trapping half-court defense here, trying to take the ball out of Delonte West's hands. D'Alembert.
Blocked by D'Alembert, who's second in the NBA behind Andre Kirilenko.
Kirilenko had a huge game here on Wednesday night with Okur, just controlled the flow in the second half.
John Salmons,
who Maurice Cheeks calls his best bench player.
Alley-oop for D'Alembert. Able to come down. Shot clock at 6. Inside Webber, blocked by LaFrance.
Get in transition if you're the Celtics. Take advantage of Webber's inability to race back.
Poked away by Iguodala, and still Boston ball. 17-15 already, not even at the halfway point. The shooting numbers, 64% for the Celtics, 75% for Philadelphia.
We can only hope that continues for the entire night.
And a lot of the shots are contested, Bill. Not like the defense has been awful. Davis, meanwhile, misses his first, and D'Alembert, quick outlet.
I was interested to hear Doc Rivers' defensive strategy against Iverson. That's just an impossible shot to defend.
Iverson is 3 for 3. He said he'd rather have Iverson take it to the basket. Some want to make him a jump shooter, but Rivers says no. As West gets inside, blocked again. D'Alembert, his second rejection.
D'Alembert's on top of his game defensively right now. He can be the stopper.
Nice feed and a foul. Iguodala slams it on a pretty pass from Iverson.
People were criticizing Philadelphia's porous defense. What a setup by Iverson. Celtics unable to react whatsoever. The vision and creativity and imagination. Iguodala high above the crowd, and nothing that LaFrance, Perkins, anyone could do about it.
Iverson with his third assist already. A high-scoring affair, but as we said, both these teams, that has not been the problem, putting points on the board.
I think the defensive effort has been outstanding. Sam is doing a nice job overplaying Davis, denying reception of the ball.
LaFrance gets it inside, rushed the shot, and Perkins draws the foul on the follow. And we're going to have our first timeout. Hasn't been a lot of stoppages, just a lot of pushing the ball up and down the floor. Good. Allen Iverson and the 76ers shooting 80%. They've hit 8 of their first 10 from the field.
The ability to penetrate in the lane, draw 4 defenders, and then step away from the basket and drain the 18-footer, and then to set up his teammates as the defense has to do it. A shootout here in Philadelphia. Who can keep it going?
Sixers lead by 2 early here in the first quarter. Every game starts with a jump ball. It's not as easy as it seems. Just ask referee Bob Delaney.
How's everybody doing? All good? Everybody good? Ready to go? Low, no, that hand's going to get in my way. I got to throw this ball straight up. It's going to hit your arm. It's going to, and you can't lean on me, because when you lean on me, you're trying to time me. Let the ball go all the way in the air, all right? Let it go all the way up.
Sounds like a preschool teacher out there.
He's a former New Jersey State Trooper. He knows how to give discipline.
Which is far different from being a preschool teacher. But the greatest thing about the jump ball, the history of Western civilization is decided by the jump ball every single day. And that's what makes basketball the world's most perfect game.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I do say that
you need to spend more time with me then.
With the jump balls, most referees will tell you they love of alternate possession because it's not easy throwing that jump ball up. The colleges love having the alternate possession.
There you go again with the referees. Please, that's all they have to do is put the ball in the air.
You saw the work that went into it to make it a finally thrown ball up in the air.
But what makes the game of basketball the most perfect game, all you have to do is wait for the opening tip. Then it's who's got game. And Allen Iverson, Paul Pierce certainly do tonight.
West trying to stick with Iverson, blows right past it and flips it up. Shot won't go, too much English.
Where's the defensive rotation for the Celtics?
West knocks down the three. Doc Rivers says Delonte West is their best shooter. And West trying to learn the point. Played a lot of off guard at St. Joe's with Jameer Nelson. They're 4 or 5 from downtown, Bill.
Jameer Nelson is not playing in this game, but he is playing tremendous ball, overshadowing all the problems in Orlando right now.
Shot clock down to 7. Salmons can't connect. Pierce has it knocked out of his hands. Pierce averaging 7.5 boards a game.
You've got to hit the trailer on that play. D'Alembert with a strong rebound, but when Perkins runs the ball on the floor so hard, you got to reward him with the basketball.
Iverson. Salmons, nice feed inside. Webber takes his time and able to finish. Chris Webber with 6 early points.
Chris Webber now in his 13th year. If he's getting tons of dunks, you know that the Celtic defense is probably worse than advertised. And it's not even being advertised.
Pierce doesn't hit. Ball knocked out of bounds. It's going to be Sixer ball. Pierce, just from the field, is only 1 of 5.
Delonte West trying to play the defense. A nice pass by Salmons to pump, and nobody there at all.
Webber missed a couple of games recently with lower back problems, and Mo Cheek says he wants to lower his minutes a little bit. He's currently 10th in the NBA in minutes per game. Cheeks wants to get him around 33, 34.
But Mike, Philadelphia has the worst bench in the entire league. So it's very difficult to take Chris Webber or Allen Iverson out.
Well, they don't play their bench as much, and Mo Cheeks was telling us he wants to give them more minutes. It's one of the reasons their numbers down. They don't play a lot. D'Alembert blocked with a foul. LaFrance does a good job, but hit him on the arm, and D'Alembert will shoot 2.
Not to disagree with you, Mike, but they don't play their bench much because they don't deserve to play much. Well, fewest bench points this season, Philadelphia, the Clippers, Sacramento. Now, Detroit's a different situation. But that team, that starting unit, is so great. And what a performance the Pistons put on last night at the home of the world champion Spurs.
And some of the bench players, Kevin Ollie is a very good backup. Stephen Hunter started early when D'Alembert was out, but they haven't gotten consistency. Matt Barnes,
the UCLA legend.
I knew that was coming. D'Alembert, meanwhile, has put up some nice numbers. He's shooting 55% from the field. He's also averaging over 10 boards a game. A little inconsistent with his offense, but we saw last year in the playoffs, he's got terrific potential.
I'm a big Samuel D'Alembert fan, but he's only going to be successful in the team concept. He's not an individual go-to guy. That time hung out to dry by the porous defense and the trapping that Maurice Cheek tried to instill yesterday in that arduous practice.
Hendrick Perkins now 6 points, 4 rebounds. Michael Bradley's come in for Philadelphia. Iverson tries to draw his foul, puts it in. He thought he got bumped. Hooks it Bob Delaney.
Iverson's ability to initiate contact and then fall down away from the basket, unsurpassed maybe in the history of basketball.
Iguodala forcing the turnover. Iverson finding Bradley. Bradley inside. 4 assists for Allen Iverson. And the Sixers with a 3-point lead.
This is like the old... You all don't remember when Sacramento and Dallas used to play like this?
No.
I didn't think so.
As an attempted alley-oop pass for Pierce. Mark Blount tried to throw, but a turnover. It's a second turnover for Boston.
Iverson down the lane one more time. He is schooling Delonte West, who's a very nice defensive player. And again, the second back a wraparound pass of the night for easy conversions. The Sixers really moving well off Iverson's penetration and flow up the court.
They are shooting 73% from the field.
That's what Utah did to them. More than that, 74% in the entire second half on Wednesday night here at the Wachovia.
Iverson, nice soft touch. And the follow, Samuel D'Alembert.
And that's the problem with making Allen Iverson a driver, is that you have to rotate defensively with the big men, and then Iverson's teammates, Webber, D'Alembert, they're just able to ram it home on the offensive glass.
Iguodala, meanwhile, picks up his second foul. That's costly for the Sixers. But Allen Iverson off to a terrific start. Setting up his teammates. Samuel D'Alembert very active in the early going. A couple of black shots, 4 boards, and 4 points. John, the Celtics trail the Sixers by 5, and Doc Rivers had a very simple message for his team.
First team that plays defense, right? First team that plays defense wins the game.
But as Allen Iverson off early with 10 points and 4 assists. Allen Iverson coming off 2 40-plus games, 41 and 46. The up and under move, no defensive rotation whatsoever. Having his way, pick a defender, it doesn't matter for Allen Iverson. Doc Rivers telling us today that the turnovers, which are killing Boston, the rebounds, the lack of defensive toughness, of scoring tonight, Allen Iverson
once again doing a little bit of everything.
As we saw in the open with the graphic, but right now, the way the Celtics are playing, their streak of being undefeated against the Atlantic Division is in serious jeopardy. Celtics' greatest accomplishment of this young season.
And a young season it is, Doc Rivers. His teams have always improved as the years have gone on. Last year was another case in point. Second half last year, remember at one point, they were 3 games under 500 at this point, then finished 29 and 18 the rest of the way. The same in Orlando. His teams always had good, strong second halves. He's hoping the same.
It was such a tough, embarrassing loss to
Line call for a travel.
But in the 7-game series against Indiana a year ago, when they lost the 7th game in Boston, just getting absolutely pounded. How dispiriting it is for the Celtic loyalists.
Well, that was after they won Game 6 on the road in overtime. That was a very weird series.
I know that was a great day for Nick Payne.
Tony Allen, meanwhile, with the foul. And Allen is a player that they need to play because he's one of their better defenders. Of course, Allen is dealing with off-the-court problems during the offseason. Was involved in a brawl, charged with aggravated battery. Spent a couple of nights in jail. The case is still pending. The man was shot in that particular thing. An offensive foul is called. And Allen also, speaking of Tony Allen, also had the knee surgery, so he has hardly really been here with the Boston Celtics, but he's an important part of a team that needs defensive players.
And Doc Rivers today telling us that they never really know until game time whether Tony Allen will be able to play because the knee is still recovering from the surgery, the swelling. And we've got great matchups here. Not only Iverson and Delonte West, Paul Pierce, Andre Iguodala, but the point guards, Mo Cheeks and Doc Rivers. Confusion reigning here.
I think it's just a discussion as Iverson called for the offensive foul. So the Celtics will inbound. Also in the game, Orion Green, the rookie from Louisiana Lafayette, their second-round pick. He's become the backup point guard.
Just a zone defense. They're backing up and just challenging the Celtics to shoot from the perimeter.
Pierce takes his time, comes up short, or long, I should say, called to the rebound. Pierce now from the field, just 1 of 6.
And the one shot that he did make was the only good shot selection that he's taken all night.
Iverson lost it. And a late whistle. He says no. The Green bumped him. And they're in the penalty, so Iverson will go to the line.
One of the problems that Doc Rivers has with this Celtic team, it's so young. They're not a thinking team. Had trouble with all the injuries, being able to establish a consistent rotation. Doc Rivers always likes a 9-man rotation. Delonte West getting a good breather right now.
Meanwhile, Iverson hits the first. Go to NBA.com and cast your ballot for the 2006 All-Star Game in Houston. Iverson, no doubt, will be there. He leads the NBA in free throws attempted and made, 11.5 per game for Iverson. Let's go to Jim Gray.
Hey, Mike, before the game, we spoke to Allen Iverson. We asked him about would he want to stay here or would he leave here to chase a championship? He said, I will stay here. I will not leave here and be one of those guys who will be a 6th man, or I won't leave here right now. I'm going to wait for my team to get better. We're improving as things go on. I'm starting to have much more trust in my teammates as we go. This is where I want to be. He's putting to rest anything about trying to chase this thing. He'll finish here regardless how much longer it takes, then go elsewhere, Mike.
Some players will do anything to get the elusive ring. He said that he's grown up here. Philadelphia has helped make him a man. Iverson, nice down on D'Alembert. D'Alembert, a little jump hook won't go. Blount the rebound. Blount active. That's what the Celtics need more of on a consistent basis. Tony Allen tripped, and he'll shoot two.
Watching this game, it's hard to believe that Philadelphia is one of the weakest defensive teams in the NBA. But to see the way they're playing as a unit tonight, and we've documented this year about how Iverson and Webber are playing very well and a great communication and rapport between those two. If they can find a way to involve Iguodala, Kyle Korver, and D'Alembert into that relationship that Webber and Iverson have, and then somehow find some more talent on the bench, this team could make some noise, still sitting in the 7th position in the Eastern Conference playoff ladder.
D'Alembert's second foul as Hunter comes in. And there you see defensively.
Wow.
Only Seattle gives up more points per game than the Sixers.
Now here's a press on the Celtics part. But that's just going to free up Iverson into the open court.
Iverson that time won't go. Fight for the rebound. Hunter keeps it alive. And Bradley with a nice play. Kyle Korver for three. Korver's second three-pointer. And that gives the Sixers with an 8-point lead.
Kyle Korver, who does take more three-point shots by percentage than literally any other player in the NBA.
And Mark Blount knocks it down. Blount, he's got skill. He's got some ability, certainly on the offensive end. Like so many guys, he does just enough to keep you interested and say, oh, he could be good if he could just play all the time like that. But the consistency has never been there.
So in other words, he's the big tease.
There's a lot of those as Korver misfires. Blount very active right now.
Blount, the oldest member of the Celtic team, and a foul in the backcourt on Bradley. Delaney looks at Bradley as it.
A silly foul in the penalty. The crowd doesn't like it.
The only center in the history of basketball that was any good at that was Akeem Olajuwon. But with Akeem Olajuwon, who was able to pressure that outlet pass, always among the league leaders in steals, without question, Akeem Olajuwon, one of the leading steals members in the history of basketball.
Meanwhile, tonight on ESPN, coming up, it's the Heat and the Sonics from Seattle. And then other games Saturday on NBA TV, Pacers and Bulls from Chicago, 8:30 Eastern. And that's Monday, a special Monday on TNT, Martin Luther King Day, San Antonio, Memphis. And the Heat and the Lakers from LA coverage starts at 8 Eastern.
The Heat road trip continues out west, 2-2. They got pounded their first two games, and they've beaten up on the Blazers and the Warriors. We'll have to see how the Sonics react without Ray Allen, the suspension due out after the fight with Keon Doolin.
About a 3-second difference between shot and game clock. Salmons drives on Allen, and he carried the ball. So the turnover, number 3 for Philadelphia. Ron Salmons, a talented player who they hope, again, same thing, need a little more consistency.
Philadelphia second in the league to Detroit in fewest turnovers per game. Boston, on the other hand, one of the worst in the league at turnovers per game.
Kevin Ollie will check in. 7.2 remaining.
Salmons has got to get up there and pressure in the backcourt.
Marcus Banks has checked in. He'll inbound for Boston.
Matt Barnes checking in.
Seems a lot of guys who play point guard do very well as coaches in the NBA. Ball stolen by Iverson. Won't go on the layup. Gets the rebound. Lost it though. Banks. That'll count if it goes. Not a bad attempt. But Iverson with the steal. He's yelling and got hit with a technical. He argued with Bob Delaney. He thought he was fouled and just was hit with a technical foul.
An incredible steal. There was so much anticipation. Iverson just tricked everybody. Does he get hit on the way to the hoop? Not at all. Great defense, Delonte West.
in the preseason, what the NBA and its players did after Hurricane Katrina was overwhelming at times, and they deserve all the credit. For Webber was one of those guys. So many of them led the charge with money, with time.
The five-time All-Star Chris Webber, that award, Community Assist Award, named after the legend, the future Hall of Famer David Robinson, only not in because he's not eligible yet. Chris Webber just broke ground for one of 10 new restaurants he's building around the country. Out in Sacramento, this first one. Going to do one in Detroit, here in Philadelphia, maybe teaming up with Allen Iverson on that. Wouldn't that be fun?
Did you ever think about opening up a restaurant? What kind of food would you serve, Bill? Iverson gets inside. Nice move from Iverson. The thing is if you open up a restaurant, there wouldn't be a lot of profits. We have seen you eat, and it is not a pretty sight. Al Jefferson back in the game for the Celtics.
Mike, stay with the game.
Salmon's on a reach in, silly foul. That's part of the defensive problems. Not making smart plays as Iverson a little shaken up on the play.
I'm not sure if I've ever seen Allen Iverson move better than he is right now. Well, not on this possession here, but in this game tonight. The way he always amazes me every time we come in. But the way at 30 years old, 10 years in the league, all the injuries, all the games, and yet the guy just keeps running full speed ahead. He is a freak of nature.
I was so glad that he admitted that he does feel tired on occasion. We were talking about Cheeks was laughing about when he wants to take him out of a game, a rare occasion. It's not always pleasant. Kind of walks away when he decides to take him out. Korver, open three. 3 for 3 from downtown is Korver. And the Sixers back up by 7.
I'm not sure it's a good idea the way that the Sixers are running tonight to try to get into a half-court press with them. Iverson's going to be able to blast through any double teaming, and then you're going to free up Korver.
Myself, Korver did miss a 3 as Blount gets it in. Nice penetration from Allen. And that's the kind of poor defense that has been plaguing the 76ers. Webber. Tough shot. And Jefferson the rebound.
But this Webber, I promise you, is going to be right-handed throughout this entire game.
Green draws the foul. Hunter just kind of backed up. Gets called for the blocking foul, and the rookie Green will shoot 2.
But in your mental preparation, anticipation, and visualization for playing against Chris Webber, you say every time you close out, number 1, don't go for the pump fake, because that's what he wants you to do. And number 2, if he's going to put it on the floor, make him go to his left.
Yeah, well, Green will go to the line. Iverson going back to the locker room again, limping. We'll check on that. Vin Gray will give us an update. Meanwhile, Green with 2 free throws. Green played 4 years of college, first 2 years at Florida, and then went to Louisiana Lafayette. Not a big scorer, was the defensive player of the year in the Sun Belt Conference. That's what he was known for. And the guy grew up in Gainesville, Florida, went to high school there, started in Gainesville, Florida, then transferred. Last couple of years, loves Jason Kidd.
What's not to love there?
That's one of the players he wants to model himself after. Kidd, of course, doesn't always get the recognition defensively, or at least it's not talked about as much. But Green is a good, solid defender.
Big game tonight for Jason Kidd in New Jersey at Memphis. Memphis has had their number recently.
Korver. At that time, Mark Blount. Good off the bench, 7 points, 3 boards.
And now as both coaches have gone to their bench, the game has hit a little bit of a lull here. Mickey Davis, see if he can ignite something. Korver doing a nice job defensively.
Shot clock down to 6. Tony Allen spinning inside. He easily penetrates. It's moved from Tony Allen.
As soon as Maurice Cheeks goes to the bench, things fall apart. Doesn't help at all that Iverson's in the locker room with Jim Gray.
Kevin Ollie in there, the veteran. Inside Webber. Foul won't go. Webber will shoot 2. Let's go back and see where Allen Iverson perhaps was shaken up.
Iverson playing at full speed along that baseline, chasing, stumbles, Seems to trip, maybe jam some part of his body. He came out limping and frustrated, disappointed, slams his open palm on the scorer's table on his way to the locker room, and Maurice Cheeks can only hope that that's a temporary location for AI.
Let's get an update from Jim.
Mike, as you just saw in that replay, he has sprained his right ankle. It is being retaped right now by the training staff. It's the same ankle that he sprained about a week ago. They say he will come back and return, and he'll do some warming up back here underneath in the tunnel. Mike?
Thank you, Jim. Pretty, almost guarantee he's going to come back. He's just mad. The reason
he's better come back.
He's mad because he had to go out for a while. 3-point Philly lead, 2.5 gone by here in the second, along with Bill Walton and Jim Gray. Mike Green on hand. Tony Allen again, easily getting inside. Nice move from Allen, who has now 6 points off the bench.
Former star for Oklahoma State, and Eddie Sutton. That's going to force Maurice Cheeks to take a timeout right now as things have slipped away from the homestanding Philadelphia 76ers. The third of 3 in a row as Tony Allen finding his way time and time again to the left side of the rim.
Celtics getting good play off the bench, outscoring the Philly bench 14-2. Of course, the Celtics and the Sixers, one of the great rivalries in the past in the NBA with Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain.
Swing the right-handed hook, Big Russ.
Okay, Russell Celtics won the title every one of those seasons except for the 1967 title. But how used to is everybody that Boston would win? This is the picture of the 67 NBA champion 76ers. Look at the picture. It's the Celtics. It's all the names of the Sixers. But the pictures are Bill Russell, Red Auerbach, and the Boston Celtics.
Did you see big number 5 standing in the middle in the back row for the Celtics? John Thompson, the legend. In fact, the 2 years that the Celtics did not win the championship in Russell's 13 years, Alex Hannon was the coach of the opponents both times. Alex Hannon, the Hall of Famer. We miss you, Alex.
We always like number 5 for the Celtics. That was your number. Kevin Ollie gets inside. Iguodala open for 3. Boy, short. And Tony Allen the rebound.
I was just keeping it warm for John Thompson.
Well, he played before you.
He was coming back.
Orion Green knocks it down. They like Green. He's 6'4", a little over 200 pounds. There's Iverson back from the locker room and set to check back in soon, no doubt.
With a name like Green, it's always good to get picked by the Celtics.
Stephen Hunter calling for the ball. Green trying to deflect it.
Kevin Ollie's a better player than to throw that kind of horrendous post pass.
3 on the shot clock. Webber has to put it up. Shot won't go. And Green's done a nice job off the bench. There's something wrong. 1-point lead.
There's something wrong with Paul Pierce. We haven't seen him, it seems like an eternity.
Jefferson with the air ball. Doc Rivers wanted a foul. Kevin Ollie fouled by Green out on the perimeter. And Green picks up his second. And a second team foul. Pierce just 1 of 6 from the field. And Iverson having a terrific start, but bothered by the sprained ankle that Jim Gray reported. Trying to keep it loose. Korver. Nice pass, but just deflected by Davis. Kick ball, so they'll reset the shot clock to 14.
Love the idea of the back cut right there. You have to be able to step through and deliver that ball against the outstretched foot. Over the top, Webber.
Broken up nicely. Mark Black got a hand in there. Tony Allen, short. Poked away from Dallenberg, who tracks it down.
Numbers here for Philadelphia. Find Korver in transition.
Korver for 3. And Jefferson has it taken away by Allen. One sitting down low. Got fouled. They're going to call a goaltend as well. So count the basket and a foul. The ball hit the backboard. He should not have touched that. That had no shot of going in.
What is Samuel Dallenberg thinking there? You can't block a shot from that far away. If you foul initially down low on Webber.
Did he actually touch it there?
That ball had no chance of going in. It was already hit the rim. It was going down and away.
I don't know if he actually touched it. Look at that replay. It looked like he didn't even touch it.
No. He touched it after it hits the basket, and it's on its way down.
I don't think he touched it, no.
But if you slap the backboard, that's goaltending as well.
That's probably what it is.
He might have touched it with his pinky finger on his right hand.
Well, Iverson gets the ovation as he comes back in. He's clearly breaking down at age 30.
I don't think so.
He enjoys kind of being the old guy and the mature guy. We had a chat with him before the game. He was talking about how parenthood is Korver from way downtown. Parenthood has changed him and made him really think twice before he acts. Davis, offensive foul. Kyle Korver draws the charge.
How about the fact that David Stern had so many nice things to say about Allen Iverson recently, as well as Jerry Colangelo, the man in charge of selecting the next Olympic team for Beijing in 2008.
He said one of the things with his kids, he has to have some credibility so he can discipline them. But his kids now have made such a difference for him.
As I've learned, discipline yourself. That way others won't have to.
Very nice ball. Korver open again. And he had the range early, not recently.
But he's getting no squared up looks. Everything now is off the dribble. Everything now is a pivot into a shot. That's where he needs Iverson to create and set him up.
The shooting percentages going down for both teams, especially for Philadelphia. Davis. Tough shot. Doesn't get the bounce. Jefferson keeps it alive. And Jefferson rewarded for his hard work.
What has happened to Philadelphia's team? They've fallen apart here, and the fans restive. More of a half-court game right now. The explosive running that we saw early is vanished for Philadelphia.
Nice feet inside. Webber with the pass. One of the best passing big men in the NBA over the past decade.
Webber had some very strong words of sadness about leaving Sacramento a year ago about this time. And fond memories of his years there helped build something very special that seems to have vaporized before our eyes in California's state capital.
Davis inside. D'Alembert in pursuit alters the shot. And it's going to be Sixer ball. Doc Rivers felt there was plenty of contact. Didn't get a call. Iverson back on the court, but the Sixers' 8-point lead is now a 4-point deficit.
Mike, back to you.
Back in Philadelphia, the 76ers trailing now the Celtics 46-42. Hi again, everyone, with Hall of Famer Bill Walton, Mike Green on hand, Jim Gray, of course, with us as well. NBA quickly making a decision on the Ray Allen-Keon dueling, and dueling obviously getting more because when it was all over on the court, he tried to make sure it didn't finish.
Shades of John Brisker. What are these guys thinking? With all that went down last year with Ron Artest and that fiasco, to make a mental decision like that, that is inexcusable. I am surprised that David Stern was so kind in only making it 5 for dueling and 3 for Ray Allen.
Yeah, meanwhile, Ray Allen right away said he apologized and didn't want it to happen, obviously.
But things falling apart in Orlando.
Webber.
I'm not sure why Doc Rivers continues to press. Every time they've done it, they've been burned for an easy basket, and they've got nothing out of it, the Green.
Green, Jefferson, Blount, Pierce back in the game finally. Another palming call on Orion Green.
When you come and press, Webber does a great thing, flash to the high post, Iguodala, and then just takes it right to the hoop. That's where you attack at that high post. And the Sixer backcourt wise to just kick that ball ahead and not let that double team close on you.
Both teams shooting 51% from the field. Webber got a running start. Delay in the call, but no question about it.
Looked like the road runner.
5 turnovers now for Philadelphia. As Bill mentioned, that's one of the areas they're very good at offensively. Only Detroit turns it over a fewer amount per game.
Delonte West back in the lineup now. The much anticipated matchup with Iverson. Can he continue his stellar plays? Blocked and rejected by D'Alembert.
That's his third, but then they turn it over, and Pierce will come the other way. D'Alembert, as we mentioned, one of the best shot blockers in the league. Webber knocks it away.
Turnovers again for Boston.
Salmons, an open 3. Iguodala's tip won't go. Kept alive again. Down there, but this time West. Here comes West. Goes right at Iverson. Nice defensive play. And it's still Boston ball.
Iverson always among the league leaders in steals per game. Not really reflective, though, of how well you're playing defense. And one of the problems that when you go for steals is that it just exposes your back line of defense. What a back cut.
That time Iverson got burned badly by West. And that's one of the problems for Philly defensively is they're not being able to keep people in front of them getting into the paint far too easily. Well, a lot of teams have that problem. Celtics back up by 4. They trail by as many as 8. Iguodala, good strong move at the left hand. Andre Iguodala takes it right at Paul Pierce.
Looked at him and said, there's nothing you've got to stop me. The second-year player, Andre Iguodala, born and raised in the Midwest before going to play for Lute Olson, the Hall of Fame coach, just using that left hand and schooling him as Iguodala improves on the offensive end. We've chronicled already his defensive prowess against the stars of this league. He's got to learn to take it right back at him at the other end and put the pressure on him.
And Webber fouled after getting the offensive rebound. They're not in the penalty yet, so Sixers will inbound.
Imagine if the Sixers had gotten Chris Webber a couple years before he got here, before he had hurt that leg. It caused him to miss so many games out in Sacramento.
He can still score and rebound a pass. Defensively, probably has the tougher time. That's where the knee is taking its toll. Meanwhile, a foul before the shot. That'll be the 4th team foul.
Chris Webber, the second highest paid player in the NBA, behind Shaquille O'Neal.
You look at the numbers, though, he put up on a consistent basis on those Sacramento teams. Plus, you add not only 21 and 10, but you add all the assists. He had a superb career.
But what Chris Webber also has is charisma and stage presence, and Jim Gray has more on that. Jim?
I spoke to him about the team here, and he says, hey, you can't be upset with guys because they don't know. We're so young. We're just learning. We've lost 7 or 8 games that we probably should have won. He says, but it's hard to come back and point any fingers because we're playing as a group together, but the guys just don't know in these situations. There's no guys to pull guys back and say, hey, this is how you do it at specific positions. He says, if we had some more veterans here, these guys would grow a little quicker, but instead we're learning by taking our lumps, and as the season goes on, those lumps should turn into victories, Mike.
That's certainly what they hope. Thank you, Jim. LaFrance gets inside, can't finish. Blount on the follow. Mark Blount off the bench with 12 points and 6 rebounds in just 12 minutes.
We've heard endlessly all week long in preparation for tonight about Philly's defensive weaknesses. We are seeing it being exposed right now.
Webber draws the foul, and he will go to the line.
And for the first time tonight, they force Chris Webber left, and then they foul him.
LaFrance picks up his 3rd. Last year, Webber coming over late in the season. The Sixers had the same thing last year. In fact, they're actually one game ahead of last year's pace. In the season, they won 43 games. And Webber came on late in the season, played the last 21 games after the trade from Sacramento.
But then they were matched up with Detroit in the first round of the playoffs. That was a disaster. Webber for Orlando in the 93 draft quickly shipped off to Golden State. Sean Bradley, that was a fine pick.
That's me.
I think that's an opinion.
You were being sarcastic.
It's not an
Ricky Davis kicks it out to Blount. Blount well short that time.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sean Bradley, that was one of the finest picks ever.
Oh, see, now you're making it worse. Webber looking to post up Blount. Goes inside. Oh, nice move from Chris Webber. That's twice now he's exploded at the last moment. And Webber with 13 points here in the first half. Pierce, Iguodala has done an excellent job on him. Pierce with just 3 points.
Total non-factor.
Ricky Davis puts in a 3. And the Celtics now 5 of 7 from downtown.
Where would the Celtics be without Ricky Pierce? He's actually passed up a number of opportunities. Iverson not really the same since he sprained that ankle. The Jim Gray report had to be retaped.
Pierce gets inside this time all the way to the basket and a foul. When in doubt, take it to the glass. And Pierce will have a chance for the three-point play with just under 2.5 remaining here in the second.
Chris Webber having a strong game tonight, overpowering, bullying his way to the hoop. The explosion, the ability to throw one down one more time, swinging on the rim. Paul Pierce trying to make something happen. His first basket since the opening moments. The Celtics having their way late in the first.
ESPN2's presentation of NBA Friday Coast to Coast. Brought to you by Taco Bell Big Bell Value Menu. To get full-on value, think outside the barn.
High-scoring game here in Philadelphia. As Allen Iverson and the Sixers trailing by 4. We told you earlier about Iverson. Crimson knows he made mistakes early in his career. Now always thinks about his kids when he makes a decision. But there's another reason for trying to make sure he does the right thing now. And he talked about that earlier tonight with us.
Nobody wants to leave this game, and then after it's all over with, the only thing you can discuss about that player is the negative things that went on in his career. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to leave a mark on this game like that. When I'm going, obviously there's going to be a lot of negative things said about me once it's all over, but I want people to concentrate on the positive things that I did.
And when you look at where Allen Iverson stands at the highest points per game in history, third behind Michael Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain, the only players ever to have a career average of 30-plus. Allen Iverson, whose numbers are just skyrocketing. His numbers this year are so much better than his career numbers. Absolutely remarkable. And what a marvelous storyline from the Liberty Bell to Allen Iverson. I can only think of the chimes of freedom flashing.
Very nicely tied together, Bill. Meanwhile, the Celtics go up by 5. That Barnes back in for Philadelphia.
Celtics playing some defense right now, and Salmons can't find anything to do with it.
Webber. Chris Webber can't get it to fall. Perkins the rebound.
Philadelphia getting pounded on the board. They're 21st in the NBA in rebound differential.
Davis, another 3. Ricky Davis with 14 points. And it's an 8-point lead for the Celtics, so a 16-point turnaround. They had trailed by 8 earlier.
The Celtics' field goal percentage is skyrocketing while Philadelphia has finally dipped below 50% for the first time tonight.
Pierce with the rebound. Pass deflected right back to him. Davis again. Ricky Davis from downtown. A 12-0 run by the Celtics, and we're hearing some boos here.
Ricky Davis has bailed out the Celtics and Paul Pierce. Pierce looking dazed and confused out there. Iverson able to put that one in. Push the ball if you're Boston right now. You're playing well. Find Ricky Davis, and he's standing wide open at the three-point line.
Green mishandled it. Davis again wide open. And Bradley has it poked away. Orion Green, the extra hustle.
Ricky Davis, find him.
Pierce blocked from behind by Barnes. Shot clock did not reset.
Maybe the worst shot attempt in the history of the Celtics franchise.
Oh, stop. Pierce with a three-pointer. Pierce comes right back. And the Celtics 8 for 11 from downtown. And the Blues coming down on the Sixers right now.
Philadelphia has given up 65 points to the Boston Celtics.
Iverson now with 19, but it's the other end of the floor that continues to be a problem for Philadelphia.
2 for 1 time for Boston, but Chris Webber did an outstanding job of denying the entry pass. Blount couldn't even get the ball in bounds.
Alley-oop to Blount. And lost it. Stephen Hunter will check in for Philly.
Paul Pierce trying to work his way in. The defense collapses. That leaves Ricky Davis wide open. He's on fire. Milked the hot hand. They're coming to him again. He drains that one from behind the arc. And Paul Pierce, who just threw up the most horrific shot, comes right back and drains that 3. The Celtics in complete control by 10. Last shot time here for the home team, Philadelphia.
There was about a 5-second difference between shot and game clock. Pierce, meanwhile, the other foul away from the ball goes against Marcus Banks. And they're in the penalty, so free throws coming up. But Pierce does have 5 assists, even though he's not shooting well. And I'll remind you, coming up at halftime, it's the Toyota Halftime Show. Head back to the studio. John Saunders, Greg Anthony, Tim Legler, and Stephen A. Smith. We'll have more on the Ray Allen Keon dueling suspension. The Knicks, who have been playing so well, going for their 6th straight win at home tonight against Atlanta. And updates on Ron Artest and Steve Francis, who's having his problems now in Orlando.
What a fine interview that Ron Artest gave last night. Really just made you salivate about maybe having him on your team.
All right, this I want you to explain to the audience your sarcastic remark.
That was not sarcastic. That was just pointing out that Ron Artest, I thought, didn't do himself any favors whatsoever with that interview with Cheryl Miller last night.
Well, Brian Scalabrine comes in. I think what we're seeing, Bill, is that as talented as he is, you see how teams are so hesitant to acquire him because of the unknown. Now the shot clock is off.
Ivor dribbled like at Ricky Davis's man.
Davis for 3. Hunter the rebound. Boy, he shot it quick. They're going to have time to get off a decent shot. Salmons for 3 at the buzzer.
And then Ricky Davis, who was absolutely spectacular. He had 17 points, including 4 for 7 from behind the 3-point arc. Celtics had a big edge in rebounding +8, but the bench points, Philadelphia, the worst bench in the NBA. Boston +21 there, and Maurice Cheeks, what is he going to do about it? The Celtics score a season-high point and a half, 65, the poorest defense for Philadelphia being exposed, Mike.
Let's go to Jim Gray.
Michael, that's just exactly what I asked Andre Iguodala. What about the 76ers defense? He said that's all they talked about during the half. He said, we're in a funk. We need to get much more focused. I'm trying to get the guys much more prepared. We are far, far too relaxed on defense. I said, well, how are you going to change this in the second half? And can you change it? He said, we have no choice. Michael.
All right, granted, the Celtics, again, they're the #1 shooting team in the league right now, almost 48%. But the Sixers defense is not just against Boston, it's been against other teams as well.
The amazing thing about the Sixers defense is that, as Jim Gray reported to start the half, that's all that Philadelphia has been dealing with now in the last 48 hours since they were spanked in the second half by Utah.
Prince misfires, but they're not going to be able to turn it around that quickly. Maurice Cheeks told us that he put so much emphasis early in the season and in camp on getting Allen Iverson and Chris Webber working together and everyone working off them, that perhaps they didn't go as much as defense as they should have, and now they will. West, nice pass ahead to Davis, who lost it, got it back.
7th turnover of the night. Philadelphia second best in the league at 2 turnovers per game. And Mike, I'm going to respectfully disagree that you can't turn around your defense overnight, because defense, as far as I'm concerned, is nothing but mental effort, commitment, and focus.
And they have not had that. You're absolutely right, Bill. Certainly not a full commitment.
If you're going to start agreeing with me, I'm going to change my position.
Perkins hits it as the shot clock expires. And Mo Cheeks quickly wants a 20-second timeout as the lead is up to 10. That's for Boston. They were up by as many as 12 in the first half, so they'll take a quick timeout. Celtics up double figures on the road. Doc Rivers' team, 14-21. As I mentioned, just 4-13 on the road, but they have lost a number of close games. Turnovers have hurt them much throughout the season. Only the Knicks turn it over more per game. D'Alembert inside, poked away, and Pierce called for the reach-in. That's his second.
Celtics just need to keep running here. You're pushing the ball, have a nice pace. You've got a hot hand in Ricky Davis. You have to expect Paul Pierce will come alive at some point. Only 9 points for the Celtics leading scorer this year, and the greatest scorer, Paul Pierce, in the history of the Celtics franchise. The franchise that has given us 22 Hall of Famers. Pierce, the greatest scorer by career average for the Celtics.
Iguodala. D'Alembert. Iguodala felt he got whacked on the arm. But D'Alembert didn't wait for a whistle and followed up on the play nicely. D'Alembert, 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 blocked shots.
From my perspective, that was one of the finest lob passes I've ever seen, Mike.
Iguodala knocks it away. The finest deflection I've ever seen.
No. When they
you need to stop saying that. Korver gets it out to Webber. Back in the Korver, lost the ball.
Attack if you're Ricky Davis.
Davis passes up. Didn't pass up many threes. Does it this time and puts it in. Ricky Davis, his 5th three-pointer of the game. He's got 20.
And we're seeing something right now that is not good. Allen Iverson frustrated, throwing his arms out in dismay. Fans are already very upset, angry at the half.
They heard some boos the Sixers did in that first half as Webber shot in and out. Dallenberg trying to keep it alive. But it's Perkins who comes away.
Doc Rivers has got to get somebody who's willing to put a body on Samuel Dallenberg and just be all over the offensive glass.
Pierce short. But what you said is exactly what Maurice Cheek said, Bill, today. He goes, the biggest change, we need to be more physical. Dallenberg foul by Davis, who prevents the layup. Just putting a body on somebody and being physical.
When you have a big man running the floor, that it was nice to see Iverson wave off the other guy on the wing on the right deep corner. Get out there, and that is going to open up the lane inside. You just see the disappointment, almost embarrassment by Allen Iverson right now with the way his team is playing.
And what happened in the Utah game on Wednesday, half of the Jazz's field goals were either dunks or layups. It's not as many here tonight, but there are wide open three-pointers.
And the reason it's not as many is because the Celtics big men are not nearly as skilled as Okur and Kirilenko for Jerry Sloan's Jazz, who lead that Northwest Division.
9-point game. West had foul trouble in the first half. Iverson fights over the screen. Saying something with a big smile on his face. Shot clock at 7. Pierce, good help defense from Webber. Davis is going to have to put it up. West just gets it off in time and nails another three. That's the 10th three-pointer for the Boston Celtics.
This has been a clinic. This was supposed to be the part of the season where Philadelphia, in the midst of 9 of 12 remaining games here in January, right here at the Wachovia Center, and they're not getting it done.
They're 10 for 15 from downtown. Korver fires away. And Perkins with another rebound.
Everything for Kyle Korver tonight has been on the move, which is not the strongest part of his game.
LaFrance, a good three-point shooter. Iverson the rebound.
I love the way Iverson anticipates those long rebounds. You see him moving while everybody else is standing.
Draws the foul that time. And Iverson will shoot a couple.
Boston's offense has been a thing of beauty tonight as they lead by 12 early in the third. Pierce digs it out. This quick swing pass, and then Ricky Davis, always criticized in years gone by as a relentless gunner, now finding Delonte West, one of the great field goal percentage shooters in the game today, Mike.
Well, Doc Rivers said he is without question their best shooter. He wants him to shoot more. And as Iverson shooting the second free throw, Iverson is working on back-to-back 40-point games. He had 46 against Utah and 41 against Seattle. Right now he's a little ways away, 22.
Harvey Pollack showed me real statistics for the 61-62 season during the halftime. We talked about Kobe and Iverson and all those numbers. Come on.
Well, my favorite number this week was Kobe Bryant when he had the 48 50-point game. That's 98 in 2 games. And they said, okay, he had at least 98 points in back-to-back games. How many times did Wilt have at least 98 consecutive? 46 times. Wilt did that. And it was no big deal. Let's go over to Jim Gray.
Mike, I added up the sheet that Harvey gave me. 55 of 80 times he was over 45 points, and 65 of 80 times that season he was over 40 points, and he averaged 50.1 points per game. Pretty good.
If Wilt played in the era of ESPN, they would have to name the network after him.
West with the hustle play, and the Celtics right now making all the big plays and continue to hit from downtown. This is their largest lead of the game.
Zone defense here, they're just backing off. Not quite sure. That's a good strategy as Celtics red hot from behind the arc.
They're going to call an offensive foul as Pierce will pick up his third. Iguodala, good position, but he also did quite a bit of acting that time.
Iguodala was stumbling backwards. They were both going to the floor, and Pierce put his arm out to sort of regain his balance, and Iguodala just continued his backward fall.
Iverson flips it up, won't go. West the rebound. Delonte West, who fills up a box score nicely. He has been a terrific find for the Boston Celtics. Nice feed inside, and Perkins the finish, and it's a 16-point game, and here come the Bulls again.
Ricky Davis leading the charge. They're trying to find a way to cool themselves off. Why that? Throw some gasoline on that fire. You're hot as can be, Celtics.
A frustrated Sixer crowd booing the home team as the Boston Celtics 54% from the field. They've got a 16-point lead. Boston Celtics trying to get back-to-back road wins. They just beat Atlanta, and right now a 16-point advantage over the Sixers in Philly.
Let's take a look at why the Celtics are playing so well as we go to the Wendy's inside the game analysis here. Penetration and dish for a lay down there. Philadelphia, the most porous defensive team in the league, along with the Seattle Sonics. Tony Allen time and time again down the lane. Paul Pierce having his way. The Matador defense, just wave them on by. The throwdown by Kendrick Perkins. The Wendy's inside the game play for Boston is great. For the homestanding Philadelphia 76ers, the fans can only say, goodness gracious sakes, like, what has happened to our team?
Well, they're saying it with boos, as they've done several times. And what's got to be of a major concern for Maurice Cheeks is this is coming off of one of their poor defensive efforts of the season, if not their worst, against Utah. Salmons gets in when the Jazz just destroyed them in the second half, which Jim Gray was talking about earlier. Utah shooting 74% in the second half.
The problem with such a weak bench, the bench was outscored so very badly. Only had 2 total points for Philadelphia in the entire first half. Nice.
Oh, West with a pretty play. I tell you, Delonte West, the more you see him, again, the numbers won't blow you away every night, but the more you see him, the more you're impressed with him.
Since December 1st, Delonte West is leading the entire NBA in field goal percentage at 59+ percentage points.
Salmons, meanwhile, drew the foul, so he'll shoot 2.
But when you're playing against the poorest defensive team, give and go. They post up Paul Pierce. He just runs right off. Allen Iverson just gets hammered by his own player, and the nice little use of the back by Paul Pierce. What a find, Delonte West.
Last year didn't play a lot. Started 7 games, only averaged about 13 minutes per game. And didn't play a heck of a lot, as he was their first-round pick for Boston in 2004. Played 3 years at St. Joe's. And as you see, he says if he was not an NBA player, he would be an artist. He has some examples of his paintings. He's very serious about being an artist in his part-time. Well, right now, he has been an artist on a basketball court. I mean, it sounds corny, but he's such a smart player.
What they say about the artist, they can take the dark out of the daytime and paint the daytime black.
West, Pierce, Davis, another 3. In and out. Dallenberg with a rebound.
Push the ball. Find Allen Iverson, who happens to be on the bench right now,
along with Webber. So not a lot of scoring out there. Salmons, Iguodala, Bradley, Ali, and Dallenberg.
Now if you're Boston, just play straight up contained. Double dribble here. Doc Rivers right up in Jess Kersey's face there to remind him of the rules.
And Iverson sitting, and this is why Maurice Cheeks said he can understand this year why coaches have been hesitant to take Iverson out of the game. He won't be out. Again, he turned his ankle. It was a little tender. Had a taped up return. Pierce fouled by Iguodala, and that will be Iguodala's 3rd. And Philadelphia, not the penalty. Do they call on the act of shooting? Nope.
I like what Boston's doing. When Ricky Davis is hot, they milk him. Paul Pierce is starting to pass the ball. He's got a little bit of an edge right now on Iguodala, so continue to post him up. Run Delonte West off of him. Delonte West assist to turnover. Almost 3-1 this year.
Pierce tied up. West for 3. Perkins the offensive rebound. Celtics making the hustle plays. West gets inside, left-handed, won't go. A lot of contact. Perkins has it knocked away and kicks it out to Davis. Celtics right now just want it more.
Celtics are not a smart thinking team, but right now they are certainly playing at a higher cerebral level than the Sixers.
Perkins wants to take Bradley, gets good post position, but he shuffled his feet. They call it an offensive foul. Turnover either way. 3rd foul on Perkins.
That tip ball out there as we look on the floor tonight. Dallenberg, the leading scorer for Philadelphia. Iguodala, a quiet 6 points on the offensive end. Done a fine job defensively as Iverson sits not too patiently, saying what's going on here. Webber knowing they'll be back in the fray very soon, trailing by 14 late in the third.
Salmons has not been able to find the shot. Kevin Ollie gets inside. Nice feed to D'Alembert. And a foul. Rafe LaFrance. And D'Alembert will shoot a couple more.
Penetration to set up your big man. Don't think so much about when you're coming down the lane getting your own shot. Just think about drawing the other team's front court defender so that you can free up your big man, and D'Alembert will have his way above the rim or earn this much deserved trip to the line.
You see his numbers. Reminder tonight, coming up on ESPN. More NBA action from Seattle. Sonics will host the Miami Heat, 10:30 Eastern. Saturday on NBA TV, it's the Pacers and the Bulls from Chicago, 8:30 Eastern. And then Monday, special Martin Luther King Day on TNT. Spurs and the Grizzlies from Memphis. And the Heat and the Lakers from L.A. Fratello and the Grizzlies, boy, they're playing well, even with losing Damon Stoudemire. Bobby Jackson now playing well.
How about Shane Battier and Hakeem Warwick?
D'Alembert, 12 points. 12-point game.
Doesn't Memphis have the fourth best record in the entire league right now? Congratulations to Fratello and Jerry West.
Tony Allen, aggressive to the basket. And got bailed out. Just took a bad shot. And even when they defend well and force a bad shot, they make a bad defensive play.
Philadelphia has to be...
Shows you how bad Bill is right now. The fans are getting into the wave. I firmly believe that you should have your season ticket revoked if you take part in the wave.
Why?
Just a personal opinion. But I don't think I've ever seen this at a Sixer game. Of course, I'm not dealing with much. But now they're getting behind Tony Allen, trying to distract them. They're trying to make themselves do something because the Sixers play has not inspired them.
Boston has to be careful. It's been so easy for them. They're going to get into cruise control. The game's going to get sloppy, and then these guys are going to be playing from Philadelphia with a desperate straight here. And Iverson and Webber will be back soon.
Salmons for three. All right, there's some life. It's back to a 10-point game. The Sixers, in some ways, fortunate to be only down by 10.
I think you get to run your offense through Pierce right now.
Bad pass from Blount. Did Iguodala touch it? Nope. So the Celtics turn it over. Again, that's been a problem for them. This is their 13th turnover.
And Samuel D'Alembert calling the crowd out. Let's go. Maurice Cheeks confidently stalking the sidelines.
Coming up on 3 minutes remaining in the third. And it's been a rugged performance for Philly. Well, ragged is probably a better word, yet they're still certainly very much in it. Iguodala won't get it to fall. Kevin Ollie for the offensive board.
Now that's a nice double screen, one each way.
Salmons to Bradley. Bradley passes up the open look, now gets inside, high off the glass. And Pierce the rebound.
Hard to imagine you're that wide open from 12 feet away. Doc Rivers not liking the sense of casualness by the Boston Celtics, calling a quick timeout. When will we see Allen Iverson next on the court?
Perhaps the wave inspiring the Philadelphia 76ers.
And you mocked him. I can't believe it.
I apologize. Thank you.
Number 1,000, Mike.
All right, John. You go on a 6-game winning streak in the Eastern Conference, boy, you can really move up in the standings. That's why the Celtics and the Sixers, they've been up and down. Hope that Delonte West can certainly help Boston.
Well, the artful move along the baseline right there by Delonte West, who's been on an incredible roll the last 11 games. 15, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists the last 11 games for West.
Pierce's shot won't go. Fight inside. Pierce comes right back and puts it in.
When you give up penetration, you give up an offensive rebound. How do they expect to win? Philadelphia. Please, play some defense out there out of a timeout.
Blount pokes it away.
Also about Delonte West, he leads all NBA guards in blocks in the course of the season.
Pierce against Iguodala. Pierce now from the field, 4 for 13. Iguodala has defended him well.
This might be the longest I've ever seen Allen Iverson sit in a game.
We haven't heard anything that the ankle is bothering him. Meanwhile, let's go back to Delonte West. You talked about the art. He's very serious about it.
Well, he should be with stuff this nice. This all hangs in the halls over at St. Joe's University here in Philadelphia, the school that's given us so many fabulous basketball players. And coaches and executives as well, including Jack Ramsey and Mike Banton.
I was sorry to hear recently, speaking of St. Joe's, Coach Boyle recently passed away.
Oh, how sad.
Terrific basketball man. Salmons knocks down a couple. Sixers hanging around. They've trailed by as many as 16. Iverson has been sitting now for 4 minutes.
And here's that press that they've been trying to be effective for Philadelphia. Can Boston continue to master it?
Offensive 3 seconds call as we send it to Jim Gray.
Mike, you guys are wondering about the health of Allen Iverson. I asked him at halftime how his ankle was, the right ankle that was retaped in the first half that he sprained last week. He said it was not giving him a problem. It was not inhibiting him in any way, and he would be fine for the second half.
Thank you, Jim.
The NBA's second leading scorer and always atop the leaderboard in minutes played per game to sit out this long, this type of game with this great rivalry. Mind-boggling.
Iguodala is trying to create. And a 3-second violation on Dallenberg. Remember, this guy is 30 years old. He continues to lead the NBA, or amongst the leaders.
Most minutes per game in NBA history. Wilt, 45. Bill Russell, Oscar Robertson, and Allen Iverson. You look at his numbers, there is only one place for him to go at the end of the day. The Basketball Hall of Fame, Allen Iverson.
Jefferson tied up. And a foul call. Celtics don't like the call. The Sixers. As Bradley the first.
Speaking of Hall of Famers, right behind Allen Iverson, Moses Malone. One of the greatest ever. Remember the NBA's all-time team from 1997, the 50 greatest players ever. A multiple MVP award winner. Moses Malone, one of 12 centers in the history of the NBA who have won a total of 26 MVP awards.
He didn't just happen to have a good seat. He works with the Sixer big man. 10-point game, final minute, third quarter. Well, Iverson's going to get a long rest and be ready to come back in the fourth, we expect. Salmons, blocked by Allen, right back at him, and he puts it in. Good second effort from John Salmons. Godric Randolph, the rookie from Duke, he's in right now for Philly.
And what a story he is. Leaves school early, comes up here undrafted. Billy King, also a Duke graduate, but became the general manager of the Sixers, identifies that great talent, the wonderful program. Last shot time here for Boston and Ricky Davis.
Crowd back into it. Davis, Mark Blount. Blount's had a nice touch. He's now 5 of 6 from the field.
Ricky Davis is playing a very solid game.
Kevin Ollie, that's a 3. Off the mark. That one was kind of a went, but Bradley's shot is short. And that will end. Doc Rivers upset with Kevin Fear. He thought a foul should have been called. Yelling at him right now. And the third quarter is complete. Boston's led by as many as 16. Will Allen Iverson return here in the fourth? His team's down 10. They certainly need him. Fourth quarter is set to begin. In Philadelphia, the 76ers trailing by 10. This telecast available on ESPN2 HD, presented by DLP Pictures Technology.
Philadelphia trying to rally behind the Loyalists here at the Wachovia Center, but they're getting pounded on the boards. -7 Philadelphia is. They have one of the worst rebound differentials in the entire league. Their field goal percentage is awful today, 44%. Boston continues to sizzle at 50% plus.
Meanwhile, the Sixer Loyalists, that was a kick ball. They were booing the Sixers during that third quarter when they fell behind by 16. Allen Iverson went out with about midway through the quarter, and for the last 5:54, Philly outscored Boston 9-5. John Salmons had 11 points in that period. Randolph, Iverson, Iguodala, Bradley, and Salmons in the game now. It's Orion Green.
Zoning it up, Philadelphia. I'd find Ricky Davis. He's the one.
Iguodala with the steal, and then outraces Green. Gets fouled. Andre Iguodala. Terrific defensive play, and he'll shoot two.
Careless ball handling by the Celtics, swinging it on the perimeter.
And here's what's happened with the Celtics. The turnovers have hurt them, and it's one of the reasons why they've lost so many close games this year.
You look at the Celtic weaknesses. Defense, although it's not been a big problem tonight, but turnovers, the lack of rebounding, the lack of intelligent play, and it's just got to make Doc Rivers pull his hair out. He doesn't look too happy right now for a coach who's winning by 10 on the road, one of the worst road records in the entire NBA.
Let's go over to Jim Gray.
Well, Billy can't pull his hair out. He's cut it pretty short there, but if he could have, it would have been that last time out, because he told us, guys, you can't let this team get back into the game. You've got to get the ball offensively into the point guard's hands. He wants them to quit the turnovers. Guys, don't make the foolish extra passes. Just hold on to the ball if you feel there's a risk.
This is the big problem, Jim, is they always try for the home run pass or the gamble pass instead of making the right one.
So where's the offense for Boston going to come from right now? It's got to be Ricky Davis. He played so well here tonight.
Davis on the pull-up. Ricky Davis right on cue with 22 points. He also leads the team with 8 assists. Davis having a solid season.
Salmons continues to be what sparks Maurice Cheech can get off the bench here. Nice step out by LaFrance.
Iverson back in. Ball's down, gets it to Randolph. Randolph, wild shot. Bradley's tip is good. For Bradley with his second field goal.
And Bradley and Randolph, a tremendous opportunity for both of them. I like the job that Bradley's doing with his defense preparation before his man even gets the ball.
Pierce getting the rest now for Boston. Green carried again. He clearly had the hand, the palm facing up. And that's the 16th turnover for the Boston Celtics. 2 already in less than 90 seconds here in the fourth.
Coming off the screen here. Easy play to call. But when Green comes off that screen and he has 2 guys on him, how about just pulling up and dropping it right back to Rafe LaFrance, who's standing wide open at the three-point line, the one thing that Rafe LaFrance can still do on the offensive end.
The young players for the Celtics, although Doc Rivers says the veterans are committing the big turnovers just as much. Iverson to D'Alembert, blocked by LaFrance. Here's Tony Allen, draws the foul as Webber hit him. Tony Allen will shoot 2.
How did Iverson find D'Alembert with that pass? Webber frustrated, disappointed. But the Celtic defense against Iverson without the ball, moving, bumping, chasing him. They got 3 guys on him, and he's still able to find D'Alembert, whose delivery was just too slow.
LaFrance, 3 seasons ago, was second in the NBA in blocked shots. As Allen hits the free throw.
You know what that means? They're trying to dunk in his face a lot.
Didn't work that time. Allen, meanwhile, 8 points off the bench. Korver is going to come back in for Philly. Kyle Korver, 3 for 9 from the field, all 3 of them 3-pointers.
Speaking of block shots, we've got Samuel D'Alembert, who's second in the NBA, to Andre Kirilenko, who was in this building on Wednesday night and put on a perfect performance. Do you think that Kirilenko has a realistic chance of taking Defensive Player of the Year awards away from Ben Wallace?
Absolutely. I mean, but it's one of those votes where no matter which guy you voted for, you can argue with, and you can't say, oh, that's a terrible pick, because they're different type of defenders.
Ben Wallace is doing
speed. Webber can't finish. And draws the foul.
A lot of Ben Wallace's defense doesn't get recognized because it doesn't turn into a statistical accumulation.
Well, with all due respect, Chauncey Billups is a terrific defender, but one of the reasons he's all NBA defense is because he's got Ben Wallace behind him.
Just ask Tony Parker from last night's game.
Right. Just ask Chauncey Billups. He'll be the first one to point that out as Webber misses the free throw. The Sixers have missed 8 free throws tonight.
And in a 12-point game, early in the fourth here, you got to start asking yourself, what kind of mental preparation have these guys come with here for the Maurice Cheeks, who challenged them yesterday in practice on all aspects.
They were an unhappy bunch after the Utah loss.
Utah ran them out. Utah's playing beautiful basketball right now. Gordon Juricek.
Blount gets inside, blocked down there with the rejection. That's his 4th. Here comes Iverson and draws the foul outside. Orion Green with the bump. They're not in the penalty yet.
Igniting fast breaks, the best part of life for a big man. Just poking it right out. You have to anticipate Korver there, and block shot leaders in the NBA this year. Kirilenko just a fraction of a percentage point ahead of Dallenberg. Marcus Camby, we can only hope that he returns very soon. Alonzo Mourning playing limited minutes, and then Elton Brand trying to keep the Clippers afloat.
Kirilenko, of course, having one of those 5-by-5 games. At least 5 points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. Iverson can't connect. Rebound fought for. And they'll go down the other way. Iverson had, at halftime of this game, had 21 points. He has 22 right now. Pierce, nice hesitation, wide open. Ricky Davis can't get it to fall. Defends the rebound, lost it, and it's Boston ball.
This is always a nightmare for a coach. Maurice Cheeks, he sees his team give up the baseline, give up a wide open 3 that doesn't go down, and then give up the rebound in the weak side. Oh, how can this be?
So a new 24.
Life was so nice in Portland for Maurice.
Travel call on Ricky Davis. It's 3 turnovers already here in the 4th quarter for Boston. Iverson, meanwhile, and he was bothered by the ankle, but in the second half, 0 for 2 from the field. Remember, he sat out 6 minutes in the 3rd quarter.
But he's not running, he's not bouncing, gliding over the floor the way he normally does. And was certainly doing early on tonight as Webber gets a before the shot foul, an isolation play in the wing.
The Friends picks up his 5th. Now that's already the 4th team foul with 9:08 remaining.
Take it to the hoop. Every single time the referees are blowing on that whistle. Nearly every time there's contact against the home team.
Trying to get it to Korver. Ricky Davis, or Iverson doesn't get it to him. He was open. Now Webber.
A lot of standing around for Philadelphia.
Stripped by Pierce, but Webber held on. Good hands as the shot clock expires. Ball battle taken by Barnes. Blocked by Mark Blount. Blount having a solid game. Blount wants the ball down the other end. Pierce knocked away by Barnes.
Doc Rivers can't believe he can't get one of his players to the line.
Iverson, 3-pointer won't go. Barnes the rebound. They'll try another 3. That's good. Now an Iverson from downtown. It's an 8-point game. Timeout Celtics. The Boston Celtics and Doc Rivers, every time they stretch the lead, Sixers make a couple of plays. They're hanging around all night, Bill.
Allen Iverson getting the job done from 3. Momentum swinging. Doc Rivers with the quick timeout. Celtics have to wake up.
That's the thing. You know.
I guess it out deep, and Havlicek steals it. Over the stand goal. Havlicek stole the ball. It's all over.
65 conference finals. Johnny Most with the great call. One of the most famous plays in NBA history. So many playoff battles, and that's what makes such a great rivalry. John Havlicek, part of many of those. And with more on that, let's go to Jim Gray.
Mike, thank you very much. Well, when Doc Rivers got the job, what he did is he decided that he was going to get all of the old Celtics back involved with this organization. He sent a letter to all of the great legends and told them he wanted to come around, specifically John Havlicek was a guy who he had never met. Well, after he put that out and it was known, the next day John Havlicek came into practice, just kind of snuck in the back part of the room. Now Doc Rivers says he comes fairly regularly, as are all the guys. They're all welcome. And he said he's really leaned on. And Tommy Heinsohn, who's a broadcaster for the team, has been a big help. He's been a great resource. But the whole Celtic family, particularly Havlicek, Heinsohn, and also Red Auerbach, he's in contact with quite a bit, have been huge, huge help to him. Mike?
All right, Jim. Webber's shot won't go but a foul. We want to send our best wishes to Tommy Heinsohn, who's back at the hotel here in Philadelphia, not feeling well. At least that's his story.
No.
No, just kidding.
Tommy's
get well.
Unable to broadcast tonight because he's sick back at the hotel. They fully expect him back for Monday's game. Cedric Maxwell, one of the Celtic legends, is filling in for him. Cedric, the regular radio man, now just doing the TV tonight in place of Tommy.
And there he is with Tommy's longtime partner, Mike Gorman. There's two terrific longtime partners in Boston.
But the Celtics have 22 former players who are in the Basketball Hall of Fame. And you have to capitalize on that legacy. And that great history, the spirit, the tradition, you want to build on that. And Rick Pitino, he wanted no part of it. He thought it was about himself. Finally, the Celtics are digging out from the Pitino era.
Meanwhile, the Sixers, this is the closest they've been in the second half. It's a 6-point game. Part of the reason that they've been able to stay in the Sixers is the defensive job that Iguodala has done on Pierce, who only has 11 points. Pierce does have 7 assists and 6 rebounds, but just 4 of 13 from the field.
Somebody has to take charge for Boston right now. Is it going to be Pierce, who's not having a particularly good game? Ricky Davis is going to spot up to the offensive foul. Delonte West is throwing Iverson to the ground.
Doc Rivers told us one of his concerns was that Iverson in the fourth quarter picks up his defensive pressure. And Delonte West, as good as he's been, he needs some help in terms of dealing with the real pressure.
I'm amazed Iverson didn't have to get carried off the floor there.
That's the 5th Celtic turnover in the period. Webber flips it in, and it's a 4-point game. Celtics right now in some trouble.
Celtics have had nothing but trouble all year long finishing games, and finally a whistle favoring the green. But Chris Webber, sensing things coming his way. Your pump fake, stumbles, a throw-up on his way down the lane. No elevation whatsoever for Chris Webber. At least the Celtics were able to force Webber to his left.
That's his 4th foul. And Pierce, one of the leading free throw shooters in the league in terms of getting to the line, over 9 per game. That's only his 2nd free throw attempt of the game.
Iverson's the one who gets the a lot. He's up there in terms of historical comparisons, Allen Iverson, with Michael Jordan and the great Jerry West, who set the record at 12.5 for guards back in the early 60s.
Iverson 11.5 per game. Webber's shot way short. D'Alembert the rebound, puts it back up and in. Samuel D'Alembert. Sixers fighting back.
The way this game is swung, Mike, Philadelphia will win going away unless Boston does something dramatic right now.
Well, still so much time remaining. Pierce on the drive, and a foul. They're so good at getting to the free throw line, as we just said, and knows that's exactly what his team's now.
Tough to win on the road playing one-on-one basketball right now. You go in there against 3 guys, all those calls right now, they're going to put Paul Pierce on the line, are not going to be there. That's why you have to move that basketball, get everybody else involved, and take wide open shots.
Pierce, 9.3 per game. In his last 3 games coming into tonight, he had taken 33 free throws.
Free throw attempts per game. Iverson, Dwayne Wade up there. They're playing him in the next game. Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and Paul Pierce.
5-point Celtic lead. Webber spinning. Blunt does a good job defensively. And Pierce the rebound. That's his 7th.
Wide open, Blunt down low.
Blunt foul on the entry pass as Corver grabbed him. And Philly not in the penalty yet, so they'll take it out of bounds.
We showed earlier Moses Malone, the 3-time MVP in this league, sitting behind the Philadelphia bench a moment ago. That was what Moses used to do, just race right down the middle of the court and just make that pivot. He would throw those arms out there and that big broad backside. There was nothing you could do. A relentless worker, Moses Malone.
The other guy got to the line.
Oh, so quick.
Pierce. Boy, Pierce doing a good job selling that one. As Iguodala picks up his fourth.
I just can't believe that the Philadelphia fans were booing Paul Pierce for this when they see this from Allen Iverson, their hometown guy.
It should have been on Webber, actually.
Yeah. That is a very dangerous play. Somebody holding your leg down while you're being pushed by someone else. The old high-low.
Celtics from the line tonight. Now 18 of 22.
Celtics have had the lead for so long. It's tough to hold this crowd off. This is one of the great crowds. Even though attendance is down this year, shocking to me that both Boston and Philadelphia on the bottom 6 of home attendance. Granted, tonight is a sellout here on a Friday night. The great rivalry, the tradition, but to have these two stellar franchises in the bottom 6 of home attendance in the NBA, that has to be a major concern.
They go on some winning streaks. Change that. Iverson gets inside. Nice defense on him, but leaves Iguodala wide open. And a foul. Iguodala hit after the release, and it's going to be 3 free throws. Ricky Davis went flying into him. And Doc Rivers can't believe it.
What Iverson just did there, though, to set up Iguodala, the penetration, dribbling at Iguodala's man, Paul Pierce. And when the two guys are, you get wide open, an easy play to call.
Again, after the release doesn't matter. It's when the player returns to normal floor position. Iguodala selling that a little bit, doing a good job.
0 for 4 from Andre Iguodala for a 77% free throw shooter on the season. That's inexcusable.
Well, hits it right there where it counts. Still over 6 minutes remaining. It's been a very slow game. Or a long game, we should say. Again, 3 free throws. He was beyond the 3-point mark. Jess Kersey making the call. By the way, a happy birthday to Jess Kersey. Turned 65 yesterday. One of the premier officials in the league in his 29th year. Showing me the other day, first NBA game he ever did. The aforementioned Tommy Heinsohn played in. Meanwhile, Pierce has some blood on him.
I'm shocked to hear that Jess is only 65.
I hope I'm in that kind of shape when I'm 65. So Pierce will be attended to. Eddie Lacerte, the head athletic trainer. So this would be a terrific win for Boston, because the Celtics have really struggled on the road. They won their last road game in Atlanta the other night, but they have one of the worst road records in the NBA.
And in that game down in Atlanta, now the Hawks, don't laugh at this, but the Hawks are playing much better basketball, as are the Toronto Raptors. But in that Celtic victory at Phillips Arena down in Atlanta, the Celtic guards were the leading rebounders in that game, Delonte West and Ricky Davis.
Iguodala hits all 3, and it's a 3-point game. This is the closest Philadelphia has been in the second half. And the crowd very much back into it.
Oh, that's a traveling violation.
Delaney makes the call. A turnover, and that is the 6th turnover of the 4th quarter for the Boston Celtics.
And things have fallen apart for the Celtics. Doc Rivers, all he can do is throw up his hands in disgust.
Celtics have lost a number of close games this year, and turnovers down the stretch have hurt them. What was once a 16-point lead has been cut to 3.
ESPN. Mike, back to you.
John, thanks. Costly turnovers for the Boston Celtics. Their 16-point lead has been cut to 3 with so much time remaining. Bill?
It's why they have a rule book. When you catch the ball on one foot, your right foot becomes your pivot foot. And then, as Mark Brown trying to be the high post swingman, he stumbles a little bit. That's one traveling violation. And now he thinks that's his pivot foot as well, as he just keeps dancing the night away. And with the Rolling Stones playing in Boston tonight, Mark Blount can only hope they can get back in time going forward.
And look at those turnovers, 6-0. And again, it's the number one problem for Boston on the offensive end. Iguodala with 8 on the shot clock. Won't go. And rebound Perkins. Good help defense from Perkins.
Where's the offense going to come from Boston?
Celtics have not had a field goal in almost 6 minutes.
So they come right back to Mark Blount on the high post swing there.
Pierce with a hand in his face. Tough shot won't go. Tipped out of bounds by Perkins. Pierce now just 4 of 14 from the field. Iguodala, who had a rough night last week when he gave up 48 to Kobe Bryant. Mo Cheeks made sure he talked to him afterwards, kept him positive. You're going to have nights like that.
Yeah, and then Kobe came right back the next night and had 50. So Andre was obviously feeling a lot better. But it wasn't just him.
Webber way short. Perkins, quick outlet. Blount leaping the break. It's inside. Mark Blount. And it's a 1-point game.
But Iverson did exactly the right thing. Iverson made Blount slow down and double clutch. Where was the help transition defense for Allen Iverson? He gave it all he had.
Sixers trying to do something they haven't done yet this season. Iverson for 3. Allen Iverson with 28.
This crowd is electric, on fire.
Wasn't that way most of the night. They were booing earlier, spending their time doing the wave. But now they've come alive. Salmons deflects it out of bounds. For Iverson, meanwhile, that's only his second field goal of the second half.
Playing with the sore ankle. He was stiffened up on the bench over there. He sat out so much. We don't know if that was disciplinary or just Mo Cheeks has said, I've seen enough the way they fell apart so badly. We got a 16-point deficit in the third, Mike?
Yep. Salmons, meanwhile, good denial on Davis. Blount has that look in his eye. He wants to shoot and does. And then lead back up to 4.
Back-to-back baskets by Mark Blount. 1 in transition and the go-to move.
How about Blount? 7 of 9 from the field. He's got 18.
And how many boards?
6. Iguodala. That's a 3. Andre Iguodala right back. And it's a 1-point game again. And this crowd, as Bill mentioned, very much back into the game. West looking for Pierce. Finds him. Blount will try it again. Won't go. And a rebound goes to Perkins. He was out of bounds. Sixers with a chance to take the lead. The boos have turned to cheers.
The roller coaster of emotions here at the Wachovia Center. Timeout Philadelphia. Milk this crowd.
Early in the game, it was the Celtics that were knocking down three-pointer after three-pointer. Just over 3 minutes remaining in overtime in Philadelphia. And the 76ers climb back from 16 down in the third quarter, leading by 4. Allen Iverson has 29, but he's had plenty of help. Chris Webber with 24. Samuel Dellenberg, a double-double and 6 blocks.
When these two teams met up in Boston for the first time this season, Boston shut down Iverson down the stretch. Yes, he had 40 points in that game, but he did not score in the last 9 minutes. As the clamps were tightened down, that has not been the case tonight here. Home court pulling through for Philadelphia right now. Can Boston do anything about it? Only 36 second-half points when they had 35 to Green in the second quarter alone.
Ricky Davis inside. Oh, nice move from Davis as nobody came to help out in the paint.
That's been Maurice Cheeks' biggest complaint all season long, the lack of defensive rotation at the basket area.
24 for Davis. And still said much of that in the first half.
They're confused.
Webber. Beautiful pass from Webber. And the crowd on its feet with that one.
Without question, the play of the night. Chris Webber, feathery touch to set up Dellenberg.
And Salmons with a foul.
We are going to have to look at that one time and time again. Webber seems to be totally out of the play, dribbling through people's legs, and then just throws up. And Dellenberg with the reverse jam. There is no stopping this man. And Andre Iguodala could not be more ecstatic. I have seen it all.
D'Alembert, 18 points, 10 rebounds, 6 block shots. And a highlight one right there as Webber with a beautiful pass. Webber with his 4th assist. And that gives the Sixers again the 4-point lead. But still plenty of time here in OT.
Scalabrine, Paul Pierce trying to find some way to stay together here. The difficulties of winning on the road, the concentration, the focus and commitment needed. But when you have the athleticism, touch, and presence of mind to know where you are, he had his head tangled up in the net, and Iguodala is beside himself. Oh my goodness, I have never seen anything like that. And the bench, they're just giving him 5.
Samuel D'Alembert, he's only 24 years old. This is his 4th year in the league. He re-signed for a $58 million contract off the season. Of course, was injured earlier in the year. Didn't start, missed the first 13 games because of a right quad strain. He has had so much potential. And you see terrific numbers tonight as we send it to Jim Gray.
Mike, remember last year when he spoke to us, he told us he didn't even know he could dunk the ball until he was about 17 and a half years old, growing up in the Dominican Republic. Said, I never knew I could. I've been watching it on TV, and then I jumped one day, and boom, I did it. He didn't even have his first pair of shoes, Mike. Basketball shoes, really, until he was 16 and a half, 17 years of age. So he's still learning this game. He's very, very raw, and it's still in the early stages. He didn't grow up with this his entire life like all of the Americans and some of the other Europeans have.
He really came on the scene as well in the playoffs last year. Had an NBA playoff high, 12.8 rebounds per game. It was granted just the one series, but he had some big postseason games as they lost to the Pistons in the opening round.
Yeah, Sanders has done a nice job defensively here on Ricky Pierce.
Get it into the hands of Pierce. Davis on the pull-up. Tough shot from Davis. He's got 26.
But that type of play where you penetrate and then set somebody else up as opposed to trying to dribble infinitely to create your own shot. Beautiful back cut.
Blocked and a jump ball. Excellent defensive play, and they'll jump it up at the Sixers free throw line. I think it was Scalabrine who made the block.
This was a group block here.
Yep, Scalabrine will jump against Iguodala.
Which is a break for Philadelphia. We'll see if Bob Delaney can get this jump ball underway now that he's got the big Giants D'Alembert Blount out of the picture.
They're going to do it again. Nope. It's going to be is it a lane violation or a foul?
They switched the call. They switched the call.
Loose ball foul on Scalabrine for grabbing the arm.
The ball's put up perfectly, Bob Delaney. Easy play to call.
That's a good call from Kevin Fear. Very good call.
Right on top of the situation.
Salmons. And Davis picks up the turnover.
Doc Rivers has got a lot of work to do with his big men to get them to rotate properly defensively. D'Alembert's been wide open all night.
Davis tied up. Pierce puts it up. Won't go again. Iguodala the rebound. Pierce now from the field. 4 for 17.
And Iverson's been quiet for a few moments. This is when he's got his wind back, ready to just explode. Turn the corner and try to get to the basket if you're AI.
Iverson inside, just throw it away. Excellent defense from Delonte West.
Tough to jump and pass. We saw that with LeBron James down the stretch of that game last night.
And he draws the foul. D'Alembert thought that he had the block. That would have been his 7th. Instead, it's his 5th personal. And Pierce back to the line.
The explosion by Pierce at the three-point line after a little hesitation. I didn't see much contact up top with that play. Obviously, the referees have a much better angle than we do sitting here right at midcourt in the front row.
16 points for Pierce. Again, a poor shooting night, but he has 9 assists and 7 rebounds. Pierce having his best statistical season of his career. 2 big free throws there to tie the game again.
And the Sixers want a timeout to talk this one over.
Reminder, coming up next on ESPN2, the State Farm U.S. Figure Skating Championships, which will be seen in its entirety. No need to worry, Bill. We still have 102 remaining here in overtime at Philly. And after those 2 free throws, we're even once again.
The only thing I was worried about, Mike, was that we might leave this game to go to Shaq's game.
That's on ESPN.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're on the deuce, as they like to say.
I was confused.
Meanwhile,
which doesn't surprise you at all.
Again, both these teams, they have certainly had their ups and downs this year and their inconsistency, but I think both coaches have to love the defensive effort and how physical they're trying to play down the stretch. What they'd like to see it is done for 4 quarters, not just the end of the 4th and overtime.
But the good thing about this game is that this is hopefully the kind of game that you can build on. The emotional commitment from the very beginning when the Celtics looked so great, and then Iverson appeared to be out of action with the bad ankle. Jim Gray tracked him down in the locker room where they retaped him. He's been magnificent down the stretch here. Chris Webber setting up Samuel Dalembert as we see stars being born left and right here. But again, the shot clock with this much time heavily favoring the home team. Philadelphia has the ball here. Boston with tons of timeouts. Philadelphia up against it right now.
And neither team with a foul to give.
Mike, does every game you broadcast go to overtime?
I've seen a few lately. If it's the Phoenix Suns, you always have the chance of triple overtime. As we mentioned, Doc Rivers and the Celtics, this is their 3rd overtime game. They've split the first 2. Maurice Cheeks. Korver back in the game. Korver's been sitting for a while.
It is a tough substitution, I think, for Maurice Cheeks. Sandwich has been playing well.
Iverson, not a good shot that time, and West with the rebound.
Scalabrine very lucky he didn't get called for a foul. He's too intent on boxing out as opposed to getting the rebound himself.
Ricky Davis on the pull-up. Davis. And the Boston Celtics back up by 2 with 40.8 remaining. The Celtics, a team that have struggled on the road, blew a 16-point lead in the second half. Saw the Sixers take the lead. We went to overtime, and now Webber making his move. Flips it up, way short. The rebound followed, and a foul. Scalabrine hit Dalembert. Now Dalembert will go to the free throw line.
It's amazing that we haven't seen much of Al Jefferson tonight.
Meanwhile, Dalembert, 62% from the line for the season. He's at all 6 of his free throws tonight.
Dalembert seems to always play well, Mike, whenever we come in here with ESPN to do these games.
Big free throws from Dalembert.
Now the shot clock clearly in favor of Boston. They've got the lead, or at least it will be tied, and they can play it down as Kendrick Perkins checks in. Scalabrine to the bench. And as the Celtics have been pummeled underneath their own defensive backboard here down the stretch, questions will always be asked. Where has Al Jefferson and Kendrick Perkins been in crunch time?
Well, Dalembert, the young man from Haiti, has tied his season high with 20 points. And the game is tied again. There's about a 3-second difference between shot clock and game clock. Again, neither team with a foul to give. Davis waiting. Shot clock at 6. Here comes the high screen. Davis puts it up. Won't go. Rebound Webber. And did he call a time? No, he's not even going to get a shot off. They needed a timeout there. They had plenty remaining. A timeout, and then you can advance the ball.
A timeout controversy with Chris Webber? How can that be? It was apparent that he didn't know how many timeouts, if they had any at all.
I have a feeling you're not the only one making that reference in this arena. I think Webber, in some ways, is already getting the joke.
Tough shot here by Ricky Davis. Rims out. Webber has the ball. Right, dribbles, and then he comes to a dead stop and doesn't do anything with it.
Now, if he would have called a timeout then, they would have taken, because he had advanced the ball, they would have had to take it from there. But as soon as he had the rebound, if he called the timeout right there, they could have advanced the ball. Either way, double overtime from Philadelphia. Perhaps fatigue setting in. Paul Pierce has played 42 minutes. Ricky Davis 47. They're going to have to play 5 more. A second overtime from Philadelphia as the Celtics and the Sixers all even. Meanwhile, for Philly, D'Alembert and Iverson have each played 44 minutes.
And Chris Webber finds himself in a situation where you have to make that mental note to yourself before the ball's ever even inbound. How many timeouts we have? Are we in the bonus? What is the exact setting of the situation? And when Chris got the long rebound, he just didn't seem to have any idea mentally as to what was possible, and the clock ran out.
But any of his teammates also could have called timeout.
Yeah, but they were thinking about getting up in transition. Maurice Cheeks had passed on the timeout coming up at the end of regulation. Now we're into second overtime.
All 5 need to be thinking in that situation. You're allowed to tip it twice.
Daniel D'Alembert doesn't seem to be wearing down at all. Bouncing around like he's on a pogo stick out there. And Scalabrine back in. No Jefferson, no Perkins.
And Pierce find the range, gets it to Blount. Blount blocked by D'Alembert. That's his 7th block shot of the game.
And at this pace, he will pass Andre Kirilenko, particularly with the fact that we seem to be heading for multiply more overtimes tonight.
Multiply more? It has been a long night. Pierce way off the mark, and air ball. Iverson with a running start. Iverson draws the foul. And he'll shoot 2.
Scalabrine quickly raising his hand as if it's a good thing to... How fast is Allen Iverson? He's with the ball, and he's racing by guys who already have not only a 5-yard head start, but don't even have the ball themselves.
Iverson now with 30 points and 8 assists. Oh, Cheeks enjoying the game, loves the competition, having a laugh there over in the sidelines. And Sixers once again go up early in the OT. This is the second one. They led by 4 in the first overtime. Celtics came back and went up by 2.
Trying to isolate Ricky Davis here. Samples has just done a masterful job one-on-one defense against him.
Look at Iguodala's ball denial. Pierce can't even see the ball.
Shot clock a major factor now.
Scalabrine, air ball. Back-to-back air balls for the Boston Celtics.
They'll curl Iverson all the way around the weak side, bring him out, isolate him now.
Iverson on the pull-up. Won't go.
Who's running with Delonte West? Celtics seem fatigued out there.
A couple of guys have been grabbing their shorts. Davis gets inside. Nice pull-up. Boy, he is so athletic.
If he could learn to initiate contact a little bit better, lowering that shoulder, using the lead forearm to bump the defender off a little bit.
3rd time this season, Davis is at the 30-point mark.
Davis could take his game to the next level.
Iverson kicks it out. Webber. Shot clock down to 5. Iverson trying to find some room. Iguodala just gets it off in time. Way off. And Davis the rebound. Ricky Davis had 30-point games 3 times all of last year. He's done it already this season.
Slow to get into that high post screen.
Draws the foul. And 1. Davis somehow gets it in at a tough angle. And a chance for a 3-point play as the Celtics take the lead.
And Ricky Davis getting into it with some of the crowd over there. But Ricky Davis has taken charge here in the second overtime. He turns the corner. Not sure if that's a traveling violation or not. When you come like this and when you take your 1.5 steps and then come to a stop and then jump again, I don't know.
Meanwhile, D'Alembert fouls out in one of his better games. 20 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 block shots. It's the 6th time he's fouled out this season.
Consistency has been a problem for Samuel D'Alembert. If they can get this kind of numbers from him every game, watch out for the Sixers as they would soar to the top of the Atlantic Division.
Meanwhile, Ricky Davis with 10 points so far since the end of regulation in the first and second overtime.
It's amazing how he was so quiet for so long, and all of a sudden he's come all the way back to life. Moses Malone looking on. I'm surprised they haven't retired Moses' number here.
Meanwhile, Davis with a season-high 33 points. Perhaps we'll talk about that later. Right now, it's the Celtics with a 3-point lead. Double overtime at Philadelphia.
How much later?
Celtics now with a 3-point lead in double overtime, courtesy of Ricky Davis, who's third in the NBA in minutes per game, so he's not getting tired, Bill Wall.
Having a monster game. Ricky Davis early on was all gold from behind the arc. Paul Pierce setting him up time and time again. And when Kyle Korver comes back in late in the game, Ricky Davis just comes to that dead stop and just jumps right over him. The ability to turn the corner, come to that stop, hit that fadeaway jumper, always a trademark of the former Iowa star, and now putting the Celtics in control.
Davis, meanwhile, he's only 26 years old. He only played 1 year of college at Iowa. He bounced around in the NBA with Charlotte, Miami, Cleveland. He's had his problems, fights with teammates, was suspended in Cleveland, blasted Pat Riley for emphasizing defense in Miami, all these things. But he has grown in the last couple of years to become a good, solid player. Is he a perfect player? No, but he plays with energy most nights. He's averaging 20 points a game on 46% shooting from the field. He's become a very solid player.
And you talk to all the Celtics. Oh, turnover here.
They're going to by West. Doc Rivers says no. Webber, that's a three. Chris Webber from downtown to tie it again. 2.5 remaining in the second overtime.
Back to Ricky Davis for a minute. All the Celtic old-timers who still are with the team, they all rave about the progress, growth, and maturation of young Ricky Davis in a very controversial move.
And a foul. Iverson whacked Blount as Davis with a beautiful pass. That's the 9th assist for Ricky Davis. And Mark Blount, who has 22 points, can put the Celtics up 3.
Well, Ricky Davis was one of the most controversial acquisitions in the history of the proud Celtic franchise. But now he's got the double team out there. He steps right through it, and Blount continues to sparkle underneath.
But Davis has really grown the last couple of years. He can also be a very good defender when he puts his mind to it. So athletic. Blount, meanwhile, having a very strong game. Also has 8 rebounds. And the Celtics back up by 3.
Well, both centers tonight, obviously realizing D'Alembert and Blount that the tradition set, the standard by Russell and Chamberlain has to be met.
Iverson. West playing well. Iverson, meanwhile, with 33.
Okay, now Pierce has been quiet for a while. He's got to be getting hungry. All kinds of freshness to his game.
Pierce has been off all night. Davis off that time. And Matt Barnes with a rebound.
You know Iverson's not going to wear down and get tired.
He's played 47 minutes. Good ball denial from West. Barnes gets inside. Can't get it to fall. Rebound Pierce.
Delonte West is being treated like a rag doll.
Davis traveled. 22nd turnover for the Celtics. They started the fourth quarter poorly, but they've done a much better job in the overtime in that department. And Philadelphia wants a timeout.
Celtics have 22 turnovers and they're winning in double overtime on the road in Philadelphia. Go figure. It must be Friday the 13th.
So with 1:22 remaining in the second OT, Philadelphia back within 1, courtesy of Allen Iverson's jump shot here.
That ability to change direction in mid-dribble. Delonte West, you play him as well as you can, and he throws that in your face. All you can do is hope to get it back at the other end.
What's helped the Celtics, they had 21 turnovers through regulation. They did not have a turnover in the first overtime, and that's their first one here in the second overtime.
That's what we're in right now is the second overtime, correct?
Correct.
Sometimes you lose track.
Absolutely.
You did the triple overtime game with Phoenix in New York.
And then Phoenix had another triple overtime game against Denver.
And then the Knicks were just against Dallas in overtime the other night.
Don't forget, State Farm U.S. Figure Skating Championships coming up next on ESPN2. You'll see it in its entirety. So skating fans, be patient. And as you saw before, it's the Heat and the Sonics from Seattle on ESPN.
Well, right now, the Boston Celtics, they've got to find some sort of leadership and assertiveness on the offensive end to keep things under control. Ricky Davis has been the hot hand. Paul Pierce seems to have disappeared with Mark Blount playing very strong basketball. Boston has a real chance here to continue the trend of the road team winning between these two rivals on every Friday the 13th.
Well, let's see the growth of Pierce. So let's look at Davis and Iverson right now. As Davis coming up huge in the OT, but also 9 assists for both of them.
You get a wash like that for Boston, you'd think that Boston would win this game. But with Webber having a stronger statistical game than Paul Pierce in Philadelphia and the home court, a slight advantage there.
Iverson. Tough shot. In and out. That one was halfway down.
Iverson's ability to make up his mind mid-move as to what's next, unparalleled in today's NBA.
Pierce gets inside and draws the foul. Kyle Korver bumped him. Iverson nearly had this one go down.
The great ones have that ability to float over the playing surface and then decide at the last minute what is open. Could not have been more down for AI, yet it still popped out.
You can see Pierce tired, maybe on the free throws you notice. Pretty soon we say coming up next, NBA playoff action game. Game 2 of the opening round.
Remember, the NBA record for most overtimes in one game is 6. Getting dangerously close to that. Pierce misses them both.
Paul Pierce, a very good free throw shooter with 2 what could be critical misses for the Celtics.
Shot clock advantage Philadelphia, score advantage Boston.
Oh, Iverson, he's upset. I think he should be upset with himself. That looked like a bad pass.
That's his turnover. That hit Kyle Korver. Korver steps back, pivots perfectly ahead of him. That's Iverson's fault. Without question, hits him in the shin.
17th turnover. Korver wasn't ready for the pass, but that's not, that's more on the passer, that one. So 48.2 remaining. Celtics still leading by 1. If you're just tuning in, Boston led a good portion of this game, certainly in the second half. They led by as many as 16 in the third, had a 12-point lead in the fourth, but blew that lead. Philly came storming back and led in the final minutes of regulation. However, it ended in overtime. Philly jumped out of the gun first in the first overtime, did the same thing in the second overtime, but right now it's the Celtics with a 1-point lead.
Each team has lost a big man to foul trouble. Rafe LaFrentz, who wasn't much of a factor tonight for Boston. Samuel D'Alembert, who had a terrific all-around game for Philadelphia. He's no longer available. And since Samuel D'Alembert went out, the options for Mo Cheeks' offense have really been limited. Boston has the ball, full 24. They've got the lead. They have the edge in shot clock possessions and foul trouble here. Webber with 4. Delonte West with 4. And in the last minute of the second overtime, nobody who's still in the game should be on the edge of being sent to the sidelines.
Again, the Ricky Davis play has been instrumental in the OT. Celtics just 4-13 on the road this year. Sixers, meanwhile, strong at home, 11-6, but coming off maybe their worst home loss of the season. They were beaten and embarrassed in the second half by the Utah Jazz as the Jazz shot 74%. But both teams, at the end of regulation and overtime, have really played some good hard defense.
But at the end here, in the last 48.2 seconds, you're going to have to make the mental decisions that are going to put you over the top. And with the breakdowns that we've seen from some of these players, Bob Delaney trying to get the game started here after the extended timeout.
Well, Cheeks taking a seat. Scalabrine, Davis, Pierce, Blount, and Delonte West.
no trouble whatsoever getting it in.
Davis has played 51 minutes. Davis against Korver. Blount wasn't ready for the pass and obviously not ready for the shot.
Way out of his range. I'm sure what Ricky Davis was thinking there.
Korver looking. Webber wants the ball. Webber inside, puts it in, and the Sixers back up by 1. Now it's the Celtics' turn to call time, and Doc Rivers telling Ricky Davis to take that shot, I think.
Well, Chris Webber in the low block, waiting patiently, but the arm defense of Mark Blount, he leaned so far so early that he had no chance to recover his balance. And the Sixer bench just ecstatic. Stephen Hunter.
29 for Webber to go along with 9 rebounds. Chris Webber realizes he's not the same player he was with the knee problems, but he still has the great hands, can still score, can still rebound, and right now doing some coaching to the young Kyle Korver.
The 5-time All-Star. Really a historical level figure, Chris Webber. And Allen Iverson, a global icon. Right now, realizing that Philadelphia needs one stop on their home court, and the game is theirs.
For the Boston Celtics, they're trying to win a close game on the road. They have had trouble finishing games. Right now, they've made some big plays, but they trail by 1. And you see, they've lost 11 games already, 5 points or less. Some games right at the buzzer.
The offense has been run through Ricky Davis up to now. Will they continue that? They need one basket, the Celtics do. Or at least a trip to the free throw line to send it to the triple overtime.
Doc Rivers has been encouraged, feeling that they're going to turn around and start winning these close games. They've got a chance here.
They'll only win that with correct mental decision making. The last possession was not a good one for Boston.
Bob Delaney asking the Sixers to kind of get back and stay in the bench area.
Because he's afraid he'll get tripped and knocked out of the play as he has to work on the black outside the lines.
21.1 remaining. This is Celtics down 1 with the ball.
Pierce sets the screen to free himself up.
Inside, Blount, and Blount with the finish. And it's the Celtics back up by 1. Now Philly calls time. That was too easy if you're Philadelphia, although Doc Rivers fired up.
Doc Rivers give him Coach of the Year honors. Samuel Dallenberg is devastated.
That's where they missed Dallenberg not being on the floor.
The breakdown defensively, this is just beautiful. The slip pick here. Defensively, Chris Webber comes out to double team, and just Mark Blount identifies that defensive strategy immediately and goes right down the lane. And boy, what a breakdown by Philadelphia. Boston in perfect position now. Can they make one stop?
And Mark Blount with a season high, 25 points. Rivers fired up with that play that worked to perfection. Now the Celtics have a foul to give with 17.6 seconds remaining.
You don't want to use that until the very end of the shot clock.
But you also, at this point, you have to worry to make sure if you wait too long, obviously, if a guy's going up for the shot, sometimes the player senses it's coming, it can get into the shooting form.
So how about wait till there's 8 or 9 seconds?
Right.
And then
make them inbound again.
And then with Philadelphia having no timeouts, they would then have no opportunity to set up a play there. So at the 8 or 9 second mark, then just commit the foul, make Philadelphia reset out of bounds on their own.
It has been a seesaw battle here at the Wachovia Center in Philadelphia. And right now it's the road team with a 1-point lead. Again, Celtics have fouled to give, and Philadelphia completely out of timeouts. Iguodala, Iverson, Korver, Webber, and Salmons come out for Philly.
Iverson's going to have the ball. How soon will he go? I think if you're Boston, I think you try to take the ball out of his hands. Double team. Make a Salmons. Korver, you know, is a great wide open shooter. Make a Salmons or an Iguodala try to beat you.
You know who wants the ball and will get it.
They clear the side. He can get to the lane.
Iverson foul.
That's the foul to give right there.
Before the shot, Jess Kersey called it right away. Now 14.3 remaining, and they'll inbound again.
Maurice Cheeks drawing it up just perfectly. With that clear side, Iverson's ability to get to the hoop. The NBA's best shot blocking guard, Delonte West, sends it back that time, and after the foul is committed down low.
It's in Allen Iverson's hands once again. This time to Webber, though. Webber falls down, and an offensive foul on Webber. Mark Blount does a good job defensively, and Webber called for the charge with 7.9 remaining. It's not over yet. Again, it's only a 1-point lead. You've got to get the Sixers have to foul right away.
Boston has to get the ball in the hands of their best free throw shooters. Webber to the bench. Matt Barnes in. If you're Boston, get on the run right now.
Scalabrine having trouble, has to call timeout.
Wow, you can't get the ball in bounds to win the game at the end of second overtime?
Well, but at the same point, though, you have to make sure you have the timeout. Don't throw a bad pass. Let's go back and look at Webber's offensive foul.
How about throwing a good pass? Chris Webber just lowers that shoulder. Both players losing their balance. I think that's an easy play to call. The overhead look right there, and the
key's right smack in the middle of the torso there for Blount. And Mark Blount, not known for his defense, does an excellent job there to force the turnover.
Ecstatic. Chris Webber frustrated, disappointed as can be, on the verge of losing their second straight home game in the middle of a huge homestand for Philadelphia.
But this one far from over. Even if Boston gets fouled and hits both free throws, it's a 3-point game. Neither team has a timeout, so Philly will have to go the length of the court.
So Boston has advanced the ball on that timeout.
Scalabrine timeout.
But you still have to come to the ball. Pierce was so good at getting open the last time.
Scalabrine throws it off Korver's back. Smart play from Scalabrine.
Yeah, but he should have thrown it quickly, so now he's at the free throw. What kind of free throw shooter is Brian Scalabrine? On the road? He has great rivalry?
He hasn't taken a free throw.
Yeah, but why not throw it right away to a top free throw shooter?
He's only 61%. He's only taken 13 free throws this season. He's 8 for 13. As you've seen, none tonight. So Scalabrine, for his career, though, he's an 80% free throw shooter. Again, no timeouts for Philadelphia.
What a touch.
That one was perfect.
Native of Uniclaw, Washington.
The question now, Bill, that you always ask, say he hits the free throw, Celtics go up by 3. If you're Boston, do you foul and make sure they're not allowed to take a three-pointer to tie it?
Absolutely, yes.
And because they have to bring it the length of the court, they'll have to take some time off.
But I think the fact that they have to go length of the court gives Philadelphia an advantage for a 3 in transition because they'll be on the dead run. So I would just grab him and make it a free throw shooting contest the rest of the way and not risk the chance. You're playing on the road. Those threes go down for Iverson and Korver.
Well, he's got to hit this one to make it a 3-point advantage. And Scalabrine calmly steps up and knocks both down.
Nice.
They're out of timeouts. Iverson. Are they going to foul? Korver for 3. Oh, it's good! Kyle Korver from downtown! Triple overtime in Philadelphia. Now they have to review it, but
it was
apparent. Korver, who had been quiet for so long, he hit 3 3-pointers early in the game, but went a long stretch without playing, ties it at the buzzer.
Iverson turns the corner on the dead run, gives him the momentum. He'll drive it right at Korver's man. This is a setup play. Korver denied initially. Delonte West can do nothing. Why don't they foul at that point?
I never understand that, Bill, and that... they had several opportunities to foul Iverson first, and then Korver.
Grab him on the ground right there when he puts it on the deck. What are they thinking?
Kyle Korver with 4 3-pointers in this game. They just made it official. It's obvious that it was clear. They still have to review it. And Korver ties the game. Triple overtime. Even Paul Pierce can enjoy what's going on. Here in Philadelphia, a thriller between some old rivals. Kyle Korver at the end of double overtime ties the game at the buzzer. And another 5 minutes on the clock. Mo Cheeks' Sixers won't go away. Every time it appears this one's wrapped up, somebody ties it again. Friday the 13th in Philadelphia. So Korver with his 4th 3-pointer of the game. And it's even at 121 apiece. Pretty soon, Bill Walton, we'll be talking about this game on Saturday the 14th. Let's send it over to Jim Gray.
Just a funny little thing, Mike, before the game. This is the Kyle Korver bobblehead doll. All of his teammates were back in the locker room before the game playing with his hair, giving him a real hard time. He begged us not to put this on, but now that he hit the shot, they're giving these away to all the fans the next game here in 76er land. Pretty good little thing, and makes a fine ponytail, too.
They were messing up his hair after that one. The 3-pointer for Korver. And they're going to jump it again.
They have not had a successful jump ball in this game tonight.
Nope, just Kersey says White stole the tip. Celtic ball.
Take your shoes off, Mike. Sit back and enjoy the 3rd overtime here. Your 2nd triple overtime game in a week.
So it's all even.
Korver playing some defense out there on Delonte West.
Most minutes played so far tonight is Ricky Davis with 53. Pierce has played 48. Blount didn't even go to the ball. He was open to make the move.
Another careless turnover for the Celtics. Blount stepping back instead of rolling to the hoop.
It's only their 2nd overtime turnover, and that counts all of the OT periods. Iverson trying to draw some contact. Boy, West has really played him well on a couple of these possessions. What an impressive young player, Delonte West.
He's changed up his defense on him all the time. How's that not a carrying violation?
Yep. Bob Delaney, a little late on it, but he had it, and that's the right call.
Better late than never.
He's called them all game.
Now, how many timeouts does each team have now, Mike? 3 more each?
Correct. And it's the same thing. You also shoot on the 14th foul.
Does it ever get to sudden death?
Salmons. Ball deflected by Davis. Tries to sell it to Jess Kersey, who does not believe him.
Jess on his birthday is not going to be suckered in by Ricky Davis there. 65th birthday. Happy birthday, Jess.
Yesterday was his birthday. Seems like a long time ago. Salmons. Webber. And West with another rebound. Ricky Davis, season high 33 points, season high 9 assists. Davis. Pierce. Tough shot for Pierce. Pierce just not been able to find the range all night long. He is now 4 for 19 from the field.
Never a good look for Pierce all night. Celtics still in this one, despite one of the worst shooting nights of Pierce's legendary career.
Korver, they're going to post up West. Bad pass. That's not his game, posting up. And a turnover.
Iguodala just...
Here's foul. Shot. Won't go. But he'll shoot 2.
Iguodala's done such a fine job tonight on Paul Pierce. But you can just see when Iguodala gave him so much room. Generally, when you're playing against a dynamic offensive force like Paul Pierce, you want to meet him before he ever gets the ball so he can't get that head of steam and momentum backing you down underneath the hoop.
Korver picked up that foul. That's his 5th. Pierce with 10 assists and 8 rebounds.
Just 8 rebounds, so 2 more rebounds, and Paul Pierce has got a triple-double in arguably his worst game of the season.
Well, certainly shooting-wise. Iverson on the pull-up. Iverson's got to be tired. 51 points, and he turned his ankle earlier.
51 minutes.
51 minutes of shooting. Okay. Pierce, way short. He's been short on most of his shots. Blount puts it in. Blount with 27, a season high for him to go with 11 rebounds. And the Celtics go up by 3. So Blount with his best game of the season.
And the fact that Philadelphia has the worst bench in the NBA, this really comes into play in the triple overtime games. In addition to the fact that D'Alembert is fouled out. Mark Blount, they just run away from him. He said, I can make an open shot. I'm on fire.
They have another overtime. We're sending out for pizza.
No cheese.
2:43 remaining in triple overtime. Celtics leading by 3 because Mark Blount just hitting a key shot.
You think these guys are tired? The jumper from Paul Pierce. It bounces to Mark Blount. And then everybody, they all race up the court. They think that they don't know what to think at this point. As Mark Blount, he could have just waltzed in for a layup. Instead, he just drains calmly the 15-foot.
That's called mental fatigue. Now, if you're wondering, the longest game in NBA history is the 6 overtime game way back in 1951 between Indianapolis and Rochester. The final score of that game was 75-73. 6 overtimes.
But that predated the shot clock, which came in 54-55.
Iguodala. Oh, tough shot from Iguodala with Blount draped on him.
Was that with his left hand?
Using his left hand. Iguodala with 14 points.
The fans here have just been on a roller coaster all night long, still enthusiastically cheering on their beloved Sixers.
Scalabrine for 3. And Korver the rebound. All 5 starters have scored in double figures for Philadelphia. When that's happened this year, they're 6-0. These are different circumstances though tonight. And it is Friday the 13th.
And they don't have D'Alembert any longer with the foul trouble.
Salmons, 5 on the shot clock. Salmons, he traveled. That's a good call from Jess Kersey. Took that long extra step.
Iguodala, the previous possession, crossing the lane here. Beautiful execution of the pivot foot, and then just comes right up and throws it off the glass with the left. Doesn't get any better than that. Boston taking a timeout here, much needed. Sending out for food.
So catch your breath again with a 1-point Celtic lead. For those of you perhaps just joining us, it's been a long night here in Philadelphia. This is the end of 4th quarter. It was a tie game. Allen Iverson with a chance to win it, but no. Then we go to the first overtime. Some terrific plays in the first 5 extra minutes, including this Webber to D'Alembert hookup. Meanwhile, Ricky Davis was one of the key players in overtime. Part of his season-high 33 points, doing the job for the Boston Celtics.
And that was all in the first overtime.
Second OT. Mark Blount with a big play to give the Celtics the lead. A 3-point lead, but Kyle Korver at the end of the second overtime at the buzzer knocks down the 3. And we go to the third OT. Where right now there's still 1:44 remaining.
And we're 68% of the way through that third overtime. A fun graphic tonight, totals tonight. Field goals attempted, 191. Where is Paul Westhead? Field goals made, minutes played, 606. 74 free throws attempted.
43 yawns. Some of the players are obviously tired. Again, Iverson and Iguodala, 50 minutes or more. Pierce and Davis with more than 50 minutes. Davis with 55.
Has one game ever gone all the way to the start of the next game? Boston doesn't play till Monday afternoon in Detroit.
A little full court pressure right now. Scalabrine was played a lot after regulation. Dangerous pass, but it gets to West. West inside, blocked by Webber. Not a good shot opportunity for Delonte West.
For those of you who are interested, the NBA record for most minutes played in the game, 69 by Dale Ellis in a 5 overtime game years ago. In another era, actually.
Iverson. Iguodala drives inside, misses the layup. Webber there, hammered by Scalabrine. With 1:22 remaining.
Scalabrine's always so quick to raise his hand. He should act like he's making a good defensive play. Mark. I don't know what to say then. And then Scalabrine makes a great block. But they said, no, I fouled him. Oh, please.
He didn't want to pick up his 4th foul.
Brown has played a terrific game, but he just got clear out of the way of Iguodala.
That's why 7-footers should never take a charge, particularly against someone like Andre Iguodala, as mobile and imaginative as he is.
Webber, two clutch free throws, and the Sixers back up by 1.
The figure skaters, they've got to be saying to themselves.
The Olympics figure skating is soon to happen. As Davis is fouled, not in the penalty yet.
Which Olympics is that, Mike?
Both teams now in the penalty on the next personal. So Davis to inbound. Pierce inside, poked away by Corbett. And you can see on some of these plays, fatigue has really set in.
Well, they haven't been able to substitute at all because neither team has a bench whatsoever. Maurice Cheeks realizing probably the pizza has arrived. They want to wolf it down for the last 58 seconds.
So 58.1 remaining. Philly will have the ball as we send it to John Saunders.
Right now, Mike.
No way.
What Nate McMillan and Dwayne Casey as well. Don't forget Dwayne and Dean Demopoulos on the staff. Those three, the 2 assistants with the head coach who's now.
All right, just under a minute remaining in the 3rd overtime. He's trying to hang in there and stay up. Some of the players wondering if they get a second per diem. As Ricky Davis leading the charge in minutes played, as Bill mentioned, Dale Ellis the all-time. That was back in 1989. You see how slowly they're walking out from the timeouts.
The great thing about playing a triple overtime game is you get injuries in the first quarter that heal by the end of the game.
This is the 395th meeting between these two franchises. For Philadelphia, the only team they've played more is New York. There's been so many great battles over the years. Neither of these teams obviously vying for a championship this year, but they have certain battle tonight, and for the most part, almost everybody has stayed. Obviously, some people have left, but they've been into the game and have appreciated the all-out effort from both of these teams. Some a little more tired than others.
She's got a final tomorrow at school.
Iverson trying to get free.
He doesn't look like he's tired at all.
Webber, shot clock at 5. Webber falling away. Won't go, and Davis with the rebound. And now the Celtics will call time. So Boston with a chance now to regain the lead. And now Boston is out of timeouts.
Chris Webber has just not been able to get this done late in the game. Pump, and then fade away with the 18-footer. That's why you want to run those quick-hitting give-and-goes that have become a staple of Philadelphia's.
Webber with 31 points and 12 rebounds. Again, Celtics now with the ball, but they're out of timeouts. We've seen some back and forth. Ricky Davis, is that a terrific game?
Did you bring a razor?
Well, it's been a long evening. Again, the Celtics had this game seemingly in control. They led by 16 in the third, had a 12-point lead in the fourth. Philly came back. But again, you want to look back at certain plays. Kyle Korver's shot
when they should have fouled.
And instead he hit the three-pointer to tie it at the end of the second overtime.
And if he had, you'd already be in bed in New York by now. As this lovely young lady saying,
honey, can't we go home?
Kyle Korver right there. Delonte West, who has done a great job defensively, or as well as you can play Allen Iverson all night. Kyle Korver getting the fans all lathered up for his bobblehead presentation next week.
Meanwhile, the players get to sit down during the timeouts. The officials go the whole way. They've been out there, don't get a chance to sit down. Bob Delaney, Jess Kersey, Kevin Fear.
Somebody should let Jess Kersey sit down for a little bit. The guy's 65 years old.
He's enjoying every minute. He's been smiling, joking with the players. He's been in a lot of overtime games in his 29-year NBA career. There you see our little overtime fact. Suns playing in two of them earlier, as we mentioned.
Suns losing both of those to New York and Denver.
Davis gets it. Quick shot to Davis. In and out. Webber the rebound.
Too quick. What does he need to do that for?
Davis has played well, but that was a quick shot.
Now they'll milk the clock here.
Celtics need a stop.
13-second differential on the shot game clock.
Iverson. Salmon's hesitant. Back to Webber. Webber with 3 on the shot clock. Korver for 3. And blocked the rebound. Celtics do not have timeouts. Oh, and it's stolen by Webber.
Foul him. You have to foul him.
Have to foul right away.
You have to foul. What are they thinking?
There. Iguodala to Korver to Iverson to Webber. And there's a foul with 2 seconds remaining. Blount wanted to call a time, but the indecision, and Webber took advantage with the steal. They did not have a timeout. If they would have called one, it would have been a technical foul.
Mike, you have made the point about mental fatigue. The jumper by Korver from the same spot that's ended in the triple overtime. He doesn't know what to do, and Webber, the presence of mind. And the crowd ecstatic, jumping the ball movement, something that the Celtics should have done earlier. They couldn't get to the ball.
Iverson misses the first.
And no timeouts. Doc Rivers is saying, push the ball.
Now, do you miss the second one and make them have to scramble for the rebound? You know, if you hit it, they can throw it the length of the floor.
Miss it badly. A wild bounce. Throw it off the rim.
But you got to be careful on that, because if it doesn't hit the rim, it's a violation.
But throw it off the rim. You can hit. Allen Iverson can hit the rim with a throw. And then the wild scramble.
Iverson asking Cheeks if he should miss it, and I think Mo Cheeks said yes.
Throw this wildly off the rim so nobody gets a read on it. Celtics have sent some guys deep, Pierce and Davis.
So Iverson missed it on purpose. Rebound West. West at the buzzer. And the Sixers win this marathon in triple overtime. A terrific game between these two Atlantic Division rivals. And the Sixers with smiles as they outlast the Boston Celtics by 1 after the third OT.
And the smile on Maurice Cheeks' face. All those hours yesterday, the defensive drills, the film work, paying off in this epic struggle. The missed free throw on purpose by Iverson. Nobody can get a read on it. Delonte West can't pass ahead. Pierce and Davis were ahead of the play. The celebration, Iguodala, Doc Rivers, devastating loss once again, and the Celtics can't inch ever closer to those playoffs. Philadelphia, Maurice Cheeks, so happy.
Let's go to Jim Gray.
All right, I'm here with Chris Webber and Allen Iverson. Allen, how would you describe this game?
I mean, it was great. This is what basketball is all about. This is what this league is all about. It was good for the fans.
You got a bobblehead over there. Yeah. Tell us about Kyle's shot that saved the day there in the second overtime.
The bobblehead with a win, man. this guy right here hit a big shot for us.
What's this victory going to mean for this team?
Well, hopefully it's starting something big. AI was saying in the locker room at halftime that we just need to have fun. And if you ain't have fun this game, then you ain't gonna never have fun. So hopefully it's a start that we can get back to where we need to be.
How exhausted were you? You played so many minutes tonight.
I mean, I was a little tired, but just the game itself gave me enough energy, man. I struggled all game, and my teammates picked me up, man. It was a great win for us. We needed this. We could definitely use another one just like this.
Chris, I gotta ask you, of all guys, no timeout called.
No, well, I knew it was 1 second. I actually was going to throw it to AI in the corner. I saw two guys come. I was like, I'll just hold it right now.
Congratulations. Great game, you guys. It was a lot of fun to watch. All right. Back to you, Mike and Bill.
All right, final score once again in triple overtime. The Sixers defeat the Celtics 125-124. A recap of tonight's game join us shortly on ESPN News. While coming up next on ESPN2, the State Farm U.S. Figure Skating Championships. So currently on ESPN, it's the Heat and Sonics in Seattle. So, for Bill Walton, Jim Gray, producer Ed Fibershaw, director Jimmy Moore, our statistician Dave Freed, this is Mike Breen. For our entire ESPN crew, thanks for watching and staying with us so long from Philadelphia.